Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Video ga kadwa ni kineno kumantie.
Kwani una speak?
Mm-mm.
I think, Ferry, let's just start as we try to look for the other participants who were here yesterday. No, not yesterday. Actually, today we have like another value chain, a new value chain, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Today we speak about what we call natural ingredients and market research in the natural ingredients. So anything
Yes.
that is taken from nature and transformed to be, well, a potential ingredient for cosmetics, for pharmaceutical, for food and beverages. And this is what we're kicking
Exactly.
off today. So Eda, well, you might have some welcoming words. I'll be ready to kick off whenever you want me to.
I don't know if there is someone from ASNet here, but let me kick off if there is no one from ASNet. So this program here is actually a continuation of a topic that we are running together with ASNet with the help of SEQUA. So it's part of the Environmental and Social Governance Project. And the topic that we'll be handling today is market intelligence for the natural ingredients value chain. So I hope I'm looking. Yesterday we had one on fresh fruits and vegetables, and I'm looking into today's insightful. I'm sure it is going to be very insightful, very just like yesterday's. So yeah, and we look forward to, of course, having more people. We can still send some reminders within our network and our groups so that we have it done. So the project is being implemented by the Agriculture Sector Network, as I mentioned, with the support of GIZ. Our program is called Business Scouts for Development and GIZ. And now SEQUA are now the experts here who are going to facilitate the training. So thank you very much. Welcome, Bonke.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Eda. Thank you very much for the invitation. Extending my thanks to GIZ and also to ASNet. Thank you very much for having us. And thank you very much for joining us today. I think I see some familiar names, at least, today. Yesterday, we had a first session about market intelligence with the people working in the value chain of fresh fruits and vegetables. Today, we will focus a little bit more on the natural ingredients part of it. Okay, basically the tools that I will share with you are valid for any value chain. So if you have any other businesses running aside, this may also still be helpful. We are a small group today. Let's see if some more people join, but it doesn't matter because even with small people, I think we can have some nice exchange and also some good learnings from today. So this said, I have a little presentation prepared for you. I will show you some experiences, some examples for market research. We will speak about sources as well down the road. We will speak about how to do market research. I will share some insights with you, but I also want to have the discussion with you just like we had before. And I'm sure Tova also had that on her session on CSR earlier this week, my colleague Tova, which you may have met as well. So all in all, let's join some forces and ideas and get also your feedback in all of it. This said, I am now sharing my presentation with you, and I hope that you can all see it well. Should be coming up right now. Here we go. Okay, today is the first session of 2. We will have another session next week, Tuesday afternoon. Okay. Today is the first session focusing on the question of how to actually live market intelligence. So how to do market intelligence, how to integrate it in your everyday business life. Before I start, I quickly want to introduce you to SEQUA because you see the SEQUA logo pretty prominent on all my slides. Why SEQUA is involved? SEQUA is partnering here, as Eda already explained, with GIZ and also with ASNet. We are a non-profit, private, public company, so this mix between private and public, headquartered in the former capital of Germany in Bonn. Our operations extend mainly to program administration, project management, and consulting, such as we do right now. Always in the focus is the private sector development. Okay, in this, we work with business ship member organizations, with export support organizations as well. We engage in vocational education and in training. Here we are, and in trade promotion. One word to say about trade promotion. The SEQUA is implementing a program which is called the Import Promotion Desk, IPD. I may refer to it from time to time because I'm also working in this program. The IPD program is a program which is financed by the German government, by the Ministry of Economic Development and Cooperation. It's given the funds for promoting trade, okay, promoting imports into Germany and all over Europe, but on the other hand, supporting exporters and producers in our partner countries in making this market link with Europe, okay, and becoming international, supporting them through trainings, through vocational education, but then also through direct matchmaking and support on grounds in the European market. So this part of trade promotion is largely handled by this IPD program. IPD is working with a close group of partner countries. And the good news is Kenya is one of those countries. Currently, we're working in Kenya mainly on the fresh fruits and vegetables. Maybe you have come across my colleague, Thomas, who's regularly going to Kenya to visit companies as well. So this is the operations in SEQUA and trade promotion. Quickly to speak about the mission, non-profit development, also with worldwide operations. We do not work in any business, but we have this mission to support development and to support international trade. Promotion of private sector developments, BMOs, through qualification. We do have mainly public funding, but also work on private funding, all in all, following the principles of social market economy. Now, what is the link with GIZ? We partner with GIZ, but you see that GIZ is also one of the shareholders, one of SEQUA's shareholders. Down the line, you can see GIZ, you can see DIHK, which is the German Federation of Chambers of Commerce and Industry. You see the ZDH, which is the German Federation for Crafted Skills. The BDA is the German Federation of Employers, and the BDI, which is the German Federation of Industry. So you see there is a lot of industry, a lot of sector, a lot of private business federations involved sitting in the board of SEQUA, and GIZ also is part of it. What is our vision? Improvement of living and working conditions, cooperation with partners such as GIZ, but then also institutions, and also, for example, ASNET. Most important project partners we have are such business membership organizations and support organizations and vocational education and training centers and companies. So this just to give you a little bit of context for you to know why am I here right now, okay? If you don't have any questions on this, let me quickly introduce myself as well. Thank you, Eda, for pointing out IPD means Import Promotion Desk. Who am I? My name is Ferry. It's okay if you call me Ferry. I don't insist on the Bönke, which is hard to spell. I'm external expert for SEQUA. I'm expert in international cooperation and also in sourcing. Okay, so in the IPD program, I work a lot in sourcing and networking. I'm working in this international trade promotion ever since 2011. Ever since 2016, I'm working for SEQUA in the IPD, coaching, consulting, and doing matchmaking for organizations and companies from over 40 countries, focusing on Latin America, the Caribbean, Africa. In Africa, next to Kenya, this IPD program is also working with Ivory Coast, working with Ghana, working with Tunisia and Morocco, Egypt in Northern Africa, and I think South Africa and Tanzania will line up right now as well in the program. Latin America, there are some others, Peru, Ecuador, for example, but then a little bit all over the world where we work and I work personally. I also work as a translator and conference interpreter. And well, a little side joke here, I have a McLaren sports car. I wish it was that one. It's rather this one. Depends on how hard I push it. It can run fast as well. but it's a different type of McLaren sports car. This is the one I use for my family. So family guy with 2 kids at home, and trying to make racing with them. So this is all about me. Any question you have, please feel free to contact me. Okay, you will also find my contacts by the end of this presentation. So my email contacts and phone numbers, so reach out to me for any questions. For now, I'm very happy being here with you and having you here throughout the afternoon. But I'm also very curious to learn who you are. So please tell us in a few words, who are you? So what is your name? What is your company? What is your business? Which products do you work with? And I think we may just do it as we always do, go down the list of companies that I have here, the list of attendants. And maybe I can start with Barnabas Muchai. Maybe Barnabas, if you can activate your mic, please tell us quickly who you are.
My name is Barnabas Muchai. I'm the CEO for Almasi Group of Almasi Fresh. We deal in exports of herbs and vegetables and fruits. Yeah, and what else do you want to hear, Ferry?
Well, this is very interesting. Have you been joining yesterday's session, Barnabas?
Yes. I enjoyed yesterday's session.
Great, great. So I'm happy to have you here as well. Do you process anything of that? Anything of the fruits and herbs?
We are in the process of doing so, especially on the herbs. So that is one thing. When you mentioned about finished products and natural products, we are looking into value addition towards the herbs section. So I'll be interested to see how you can come in handy in doing so.
Very good, very good. Thanks for joining in again today, Barnabas. Will be a pleasure having you here.
Welcome.
We'll look into some
Thank
sources
you.
for that as well. Thank you.
Okay.
Next in the line, we also have Eda. Eda, you introduced yourself already. So following you would be Edwin Odiambo. Edwin, can you activate your microphone? Unmute your microphone. Okay, here you go. The floor is all yours. Microphone is open, but I cannot hear you. So in case you're struggling with the sound, with the microphone, then please just use the chat. Tell us in the chat who you are, which company you work for, and what is your products you're working on. Okay, Edwin, we may try again later. For now, I cannot hear you. Let's continue with Festus. Festus Onyar. Festus, can you activate your microphone, unmute your mic, and tell us quickly who you are? Hi, Festus. Again, if this is not working, please feel free to use the chat. Okay, we will have the chat as communication tool as well. Sometimes I know the connection does not allow for a lot of video and for a lot of sound. So let's make massive use of the chat to communicate as well. James Njungi.
Hello.
Hello.
Good afternoon. Very
Hi,
good
James.
afternoon, everyone. James Jugi, Technology Solutions, and glad to be here.
Yeah, very, very happy to have you here. Thank you, James. Good to be on board. What is the products that you mainly work with? A bit of all, huh?
Right now we're trying to see, because primarily we had been in infrastructure setups, the likes data centers, but now working on solutions that will basically deal with gathering information, smart management of data for farms using sensors. So IoT data, analyzing inputs, analyzing what would help a farmer with a basic setup, what will work for them, so that it's more localized, it's more in tune with what we are hearing our guys on the ground are being affected with. so that you're not trying to import a solution from outside that isn't adjustable, but working with what we have our farmers going through here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, very well. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, James. So this service is extending to all sort of value chains as well, right? So
yeah.
To farms, but then also to processes, I imagine. So being a crucial link in
Definitely. Yeah.
in that production. Great. Thank you very much. Thanks for joining in again. So we have some presentations in the chat as well from Rafael Urundu Wafula from Fresh Produce Consortium of Kenya. Thanks for joining in again. Edwin Odeni. Edwin is working for Worldview Impact Kenya Limited, promoting agroecology in crops and vegetables in the Lake region, a new company that has been registered last year. And we have Muguru David Ngige of Dajopen Waste Management, recycling of biodegradable urban waste into organic fertilizers. Thanks for coming in. Posting a link as well where we can see a bit of what you're doing. Thank you, everybody. We have two missing in the list. I have Penina Mutuma. Maybe we can hear you.
Thank you very good afternoon.
Hi.
My name is Penina Mutuma. I'm a consultant ESG dealing with SMEs, training them on how to incorporate and integrate the ESG component in their businesses. Yes, thank you. I'm here to learn.
Thank you. Thank you. Great having you here. Thanks for joining.
Thank you.
And we do have PK. Pauline Kibugi, as she is writing right now, of Almasi Fresh Produce, producing and exporting herbs and vegetables. Okay, thank you. And probably also looking into processing, drying of herbs, right? Yes, right. Thank you very much. Okay, everybody. Thanks for this quick introduction. I see some faces that have been here yesterday. I'm very happy to receive you again, to have you here today. We will speak about basically much the same topics that we had yesterday as well. So I will give you a quick idea of today's agenda. Today, I want to speak with you about, well, what is market intelligence and why is it useful for you? First topic. So dive a bit into how to do market intelligence, okay? How to work with it and how to benefit from it. And the next step, I want to share with you some methodology. So how can you do market research? How can you integrate it into your business life? We will also speak about the documentation of findings and contacts. By the end of this session, I will give you a homework assignment. Okay, just to anticipate that, I will give you a homework assignment where you can draft a little first research on your own. And then we will discuss your findings and your experience with this in the next session. So next session will be on December 5th, next Tuesday, where we speak about how to benefit from all of it, okay? Very important information for today as well. We will have 2 coffee breaks. There is no fixed time on it. I will make it roughly after an hour and a half, okay? If you need a break, then please tell me, okay? Write in the chat, raise your hand, interrupt me, and we can have a break. We can be very flexible. I know it's a bit challenging to stay tuned for 4 hours, but we make sure that we can have a lot of breaks and fresh air and fresh coffee from time to time. All right. Tomorrow's next week's agenda quickly. I need to adjust the time. Please note that we start same time as today, okay? 2 p.m., not at 9:30. Topic will be how to capitalize on findings. So we will review your assignment, get some input on the sector, okay? I will also give you an input on the general trends and requirements in the EU market for natural ingredients. And then we can decide how we can work with this information, okay? How we can integrate this information into export marketing, for example, into proper planning for going abroad or for positioning ourselves for international markets, potentially the European market. This will be for next week. Any questions to the agenda so far? Nope. Okay, again, 2 coffee breaks. Important to know. But then just quickly, some formalities. Happy to see your faces. When you activate your camera, let's make sure that we can see. You have your microphones off, which is nice, so we don't have any background noise. Please, whenever you want to say something, raise your hand or just activate your microphone, and feel free to interrupt or to raise your question directly. If you're struggling with the sound, just again, please use the chat. Please mind the time when we go out for the breaks. We have a very charged agenda for today. And I think we shouldn't make it too much overtime. I already make you stay until 6 in the evening. Also, very important information for you. You all will receive this presentation afterwards. Okay, the presentations and results that we're working in. So no need to take notes, no need to take a lot of screenshots. You will receive everything. If you have questions, please use the chat. Please feel free to tell me straight away, unmuting your microphone. Feel free to take notes whenever there is something. Also, questions that may come up later after today's session, note them down, and then we can discuss them in the next session. And very important, of course, let's have fun. Let's have a good time. Okay, whenever there's something that is not letting you have a good time, please let me know. When I speak too fast, please let me know. Okay, when it's too complex, let me know. When you need a break, let me know. These are the formalities. And with that, let's start into the first topic. So market intelligence, what is it? And why do we need it? To start with it, I would like you to join me on Mentimeter, where I can get some feedback from you. So please scan this QR code. You can access by your mobile phone, or you can also access by copying the link www.menti.com and then just entering the code 3314855. You would join me on Mentimeter, where I will take you right now. And here we go. So again, feel free to just type in www.menti.com and then the code 3314855. I will put it in the chat for you. Menti.com, and the code is 3314855. Anybody able to join? Is it me who is slow? Maybe I need to recharge again. Okay, let's see. Is it working for you? If not, please let me know. You want to try to scan the code again?
Yeah, we can scan again, Ferry. It's fine.
Okay. I'll just take a look at the chat. Okay, when you move your mouse in Zoom, when you move your mouse to the lower part of the screen, the menu bar will pop open and you have the option chat. So when you click on that one on the chat, as you have done before, you will find the website and the code. And I see some people joining slowly. You have 2 responses. 3 now. The funny thing with this question is the ones who didn't make it, they will never show up here. But then I assume it's technical issues that you're facing. Okay, we do have 3 people on board now. Okay, for now, let's see. Right, then we move on. 5 people connected, very good. Good having you on board. So it's pretty much like this. You see a question and then you can choose options, you can type options, type in things. This is how we be working. Next question. I'm asking you for a word, a buzzword, 1 or 2 or 3 buzzwords. What is market intelligence to you? What comes to your mind when you think of market intelligence? Research mainly. Pretty right. One has made it to the next page. Please, I think you need to click on the next page when you're connected. You can type in more than 1 word also. Market data. If you have 2 or 3 words, you can have multiple answers. Market information. That's exactly it. So market intelligence involves research, involves collecting market data and market information and trading data on countries, researching on market conditions, market search. Okay, so searching for markets, data gathering and analysis. Very well. Thank you, everybody. So this is all pretty much what market intelligence is. Okay, it's a lot to do with research. So we see a lot of people responded research, selected research. Those words that appear a bit bigger than the others have been selected more than once. So it's a lot of research, basically. Market intelligence involves a lot of research, a lot of data gathering, okay, collecting market information, market data on trading countries, for example, but also market conditions that can help us to draw strategic conclusions afterwards, okay? Information that we can use for our operations. So for example, for selecting target markets, for finding good markets for our products, what you have in yellow, the market search, but then also for deciding how to enter a certain target market, okay? How to keep track of trends and developments so that we can be in line and optimize our market entrance. So in short, market intelligence, continuous market research to gain market information, to obtain market data, to optimize our marketing, our export marketing, and our business operations in the markets. Okay, thanks for your answers. Let's come to the next question. Do you do market research in your company? Yes or no? Question is if your company does. Some of your companies, they do it, as we've just heard in the introduction. So your business model is actually based on getting that, on mining this market data, on making it accessible to people, which is a great service. Thank you very much for that. 2 of you, you don't do market research in your company. Let's see for the others. Please again, click on the next one. If you drop out, then please connect again to www.menti.com and enter the code enter the code 3314855. But I think we got you almost all. So the majority is doing market research, okay? Some of you don't. Never mind. Today is the day where we discuss about how to do it. Okay, so everybody who's doing it, maybe you can learn something from it. Everybody who's not doing it, you can have a first idea on how you can get started. Are you personally doing market research? Are you personally involved in doing the market research yourself? Next question. Let me know, yes or no. Okay, you're not involved in it. The two persons probably where the company is not doing much of it. Then we also see that sometimes companies are doing market research, but then that you might not be involved in it actively. And this is then a very interesting question, which also we will ask on the next slide. I'm jumping over to it. Maybe you have an understanding of when you do market research, on which occasions do you do market research, or your company. Is that something when you decide on a certain market, when you're looking for new markets, something that you've mentioned before as being one component of market intelligence also to search on markets. So whenever you decide to go abroad to test a new market, is it the moment then when you do market research? Is it something that you do in annual planning, something that you do regularly? Let me get your feedback. And again, everybody who cannot join this Mentimeter, feel free to use the chat or to unmute your microphone and tell me straight away. When about to launch a new product, okay, when targeting a new market or launching a new product, but it's only for own consumption. Okay. Very well. So exactly, when you launch a new product, you want to take a look at the market and to see the potential. Okay, you want to understand if that product can work in the market. You also want to understand how you can best market that product. So in this moment, market research is very interesting. It's a delicate moment, so you want to be prepared. When targeting a new market is the same thing. We do research on the product before releasing to the market very well. It's just like taking a look at Google Maps. You want to know where you're going. When doing advocacy on an issue before introducing a new product in the market. Okay, this is coming from the consultants then. So whenever you have to deal with a new market, with a new value chain, you got to make yourself familiar on it. Or look at new potentials in new markets, and then specifically before introducing new products in the market. Okay, at very strategic moments then that you're doing the market research. Okay, mainly before going to a new market, mainly before launching new products in the market. This is where market intelligence and market research is becoming interesting for you. Very well. I will soon tell you that market intelligence is actually something that you can do always and is always interesting. We'll come to that point in a bit. Let me take you first to the next question. Which markets do you mainly research on? You see the word map here. You should be able to pin, to take a look at the picture and then pin either with your mouse or with your finger. Pin on a region that is interesting for you in market research. Africa. Okay. Or Eastern Africa, we can say. Corresponding to the region around Kenya. So for the regional market, it's very interesting. Also for the local market, so for Kenya market, it's always good to have an eye on the market and to see how the market is evolving, for example. Or of course, when you want to launch your product in that market, a new product, take a look for competition, for marketability of your product, for potential distribution channels for that product. Your market intelligence is very interesting. Anybody else? Please also follow us on this site. Okay, we have Europe, EU plus UK. So for export markets, it's very interesting. And sometimes we need to catch up a lot because we don't know much about those new markets. Okay, we may have some understanding about our home market when we have production running. When we go in for exports, we may face some different situation there, some different needs, some different requirements, but also some different cultures in other markets. So we need to understand how things work there. Okay, we do have also the Middle East. Another interesting market. Very good. With the Emirates. Oh, I hear a microphone's been open. So anybody who wants to share ideas on the microphone, you're more than welcome. Welcome to the show. I see that we have some new participants joining as well. So welcome, Somoy. Welcome, Teresia. We're in this Menti. Feel free to join us on www.menti.com and enter the code 3314855, as you can see in the upper part of the screen. Feel free to join us. But here we have a first idea on the markets that are interesting for you. So it can be the local market. It can be the regional market as well. So all around Kenya as well. But it can extend to far off markets, such as Europe or the Middle East as well. Okay, on all of this, market research is pretty essential and pretty valuable for your operations. Thank you for this feedback. My focus is mainly on the European Union, so a lot of input that I will give you, especially in the next session on December 5th, will focus on the European Union. But of course, we can discuss a lot of things from other markets as well. A lot of what I will tell you today is also useful for other markets, and you can easily translate it to other markets as well. Next question to you. How would you rate the market research in your company? When it comes to the frequency of doing research, is it rather low or rather high? When it comes to the strategic planning of the research activities, do you really conduct projects? Do you plan for that? Or is it something that is happening more ad hoc? Okay, strategic planning level, is it a high or a low one? When it comes to the usefulness of the research findings, is the information that you're obtaining from your research, is it useful for your business? Is it useful for your project, or rather not so much? Do you invest a lot of time, for example, without getting really the answers that you're looking for? And then a last question is also very much going out to those people that do not work personally in market research, but where market research is done in the company. How is the sharing of results amongst your colleagues? Is that something that, although you may not do or take part in market research, something that you become aware of as well? So please follow me on the next page. And then we can get the feedback from you. Is that working? Can you follow me? All right, one person is responding. Sharing of results amongst colleagues. Very good. A 9 out of 10. Usefulness of the findings. 7. Strategic planning of the research activities. A 7 as well. So very, very high planning level and very useful information, actually. When it comes to the frequency of doing market research, however, it is rather from time to time, right? A 3 out of 10. Okay, do we get any other answer? A second one. With the same frequency of doing market research. Very good. A bit more of strategic planning. And the same usefulness of the research findings. That is very good to hear. So your investment in research is paying off. You have quite useful findings. You know what to do with it as well. And the sharing amongst colleagues is pretty positive as well. In the end, the market research that we're doing on company level, it is to be useful for the whole company in the end, right? Because we want to take strategic decisions on the company. But then also, at times, we need to make sure that the information that we collect is being made accessible to others as well. When I am the research guy in my company, the one who's doing the research on markets, but I'm not the salesperson, it's still important to let my sales colleague know about my findings so that they can include it in their selling and marketing tactics as well. Vice versa, right? So also when I have information from sales, some feedback from the market, for example, it's important that I tell my CEO, my boss, for that we can take certain strategic decisions on it. So sharing the results amongst colleagues up and down the hierarchy as well is extremely important. And I see we're on a good level here with an average of 8. Pretty happy to see that the usefulness of the research findings is still very positive, and so is the strategic planning of research activities. Some projects are really planned, others might come a bit more ad hoc. The frequency of doing research is from time to time, I would say. It's nothing that you do all the time, but pretty regularly. Okay, thank you very much for this feedback. Let me take you then to the next page and ask you about your main challenges in market intelligence and market research. What are your main challenges that you face when doing research? You can type in your answer. You can type in a short answer as well if you like. Well, let me know, what challenges are you facing when you need to get information on markets? Or when you're deep into the research project? Is technology an issue, for example? So internet connection? Is it finding proper sources? Don't know where to look for information? Don't know how to do this? Is it you look into one source that is telling you one thing, and then the other is telling you the opposite of it, and you don't know what to believe? So please share with me, what are your challenges when it comes to market research? The financial resources. Okay, a very solid point. A solid market research project will consume some finances, depending on the type of data that we're looking for. We have to pay for the data as well. Okay, so we can find some good market information for free on the internet. Later on, I will show you some sources where you can get some good information for free, with a very, very much intelligence information, very much tailored also to your products or to your needs. At times you would have to pay for it. So there's agencies that are offering, there's research institutes that are offering this, all right, like McKinsey, for example, and you would have to pay for them. And this, of course, would consume some financial resources. Other things may use financial resources as well, reaching out to many companies, sending out questionnaires, for example, might also take resources. And of course, time and personnel. So all in all, research, if you do it probably on a big scale, it might consume a lot of resources. But let us also speak later on about how you can live market research in your day-to-day life without spending much on it. A next challenge that you have is credibility of the information based on sources, especially online. And this is a point which is extremely challenging. Basically, you can find any information on the internet. Okay, there is a lot of fake news as well on the internet nowadays. There's a lot of information also that is not backed by research or by any sources. So the credibility of information may be an issue. Here, it is a matter of knowing the right sources and being able to assess the sources. Okay, there is a couple of sources which you can trust, a couple of sources that are well renowned, with whom you can well work. Then there's other sources that might give you some information where you don't have a clue if that is something useful or credible. Yesterday, we had the discussion about artificial intelligence, for example, artificial intelligence in research. And here, for example, artificial intelligence could help you to find out if that source that you're using is something trustworthy, if these quotes that the source is given did appear somewhere else, okay, if it was accredited, if there is some reviews, for example, on this source, right, some references to this source. Check on the people, on the institutions, on the companies, whomever is publishing this source, so you can assess better if that is a trustworthy or credible information platform, for example. Okay, so two main issues that you're facing: financial issues, the credibility of information. Anybody else in the chat, if you have issues with research, please type it in the chat. Okay, for example, if you have the issue to find proper sources. If you don't want to do it, that's also a challenge. Okay, so feel free to put that one as well. But for now, we have these ones. So thank you very much for this feedback. And with this, I would take you back to our presentation, if you agree on that. So please follow me to the PowerPoint. Thank you very much for taking this Mentimeter. Extremely helpful to get your feedback. Thanks a lot. This helps me. Now let's continue. So the big question now, which we haven't answered yet, what is market intelligence good for? You have mentioned already that you use it before you launch your product on the market. But why exactly do you do this? Can you tell me? What is it good for then? And to what extent does market intelligence help you there? I don't know who was saying that in Mentimeter, that you do that before a product launch. Maybe Bernard. Now that you're here, you're considering to go into drying herbs. What can market intelligence help you with?
Good afternoon. I've just come in. Kindly let me settle a bit and then I'll contribute. Thank you.
Okay, very well. Sure. Feel free. So anybody else who's working on the market intelligence, what is it good for you? Maybe we can hear Agata. Hi, Agata. Good to have you. Welcome. Thanks for joining the session. What is market intelligence good for you? Or what do you hope it can help you with?
May I answer?
Okay, James, hi. Yeah, sure.
You use it to gauge the market conditions for the product that you're working with, so that even in your production cycle, you know what inputs you need, you know what marketing you need the lead generation, everything that will help you to achieve success as far as getting a product to the client, and also measuring the feedback from the client in terms of the quality and then it will help you with everything with your sales cycle, production cycle. Yeah, that's the importance, because it's a roadmap. It's a roadmap to success, basically. That's what you're using it for.
Great. Thank you very much. Thank you, James.
May I come in?
Absolutely.
May I come in? I'm very sorry. I came in a little bit late. I was held up in a meeting. Sorry about that. I've also come in a little bit late, so I found the conversation already going. But essentially,
happy to have you now.
Thank you very much. But essentially, just like the just immediate comments that we received, market intelligence is very important, especially as we look at diverse markets, and especially the various markets for the various products that we are producing as a country. And essentially, it's important, first of all, in markets to be able to understand the pricing structure and the trends and the changes that are happening all over our destination markets. And again, there are various compliance issues that are related to various markets. And I believe understanding compliance and requirements is equally very important. Just to give an example, in some of our markets in the EU, we have had some compliance issues simply because some of our members have not been very keen on the requirements, especially the need for sufficient traceability, and of course the quality of the standards that is required in the market, and of course very many aspects that relate to market, including the trends and what is what the market requires and at any given time, and the supplies and the quantities, the volumes. And I just want to say it again, like the immediate comment, that the roadmap, it's a roadmap that is very important as we approach various market needs. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Agata. Thanks for this contribution. And we have Muguru David Ngige raising the hand. So please feel free to speak up.
Yes, about the market intelligence, it is a gathering of information of the product in the market. Yes.
Absolutely. So gathering information in the market. But what do you use this information for then?
The information. So that you may be able to get more clients. Yes.
Very good.
Like now on organic, I have to go to gather the information on how the product is performing in the field.
Yeah.
So that I'll be able to know where the market is, or and how the performance of the product, so that I may get more customers.
Yeah. Absolutely, especially when you're entering like a new market, okay? When you've done conventional up to now, and you're starting off with organic right now, it's a completely new market. So you would have to check everything again. Maybe the clients you have right now for the conventional, they would not buy your organic so much, okay? So you need to find new clients in that.
Yes.
Very good. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your contribution. Very well. Any more ideas? If not, I think this was a very good resume, a very good idea. This roadmap to success, this roadmap to markets, okay, from the very beginning to the very end. So knowing how to produce, which inputs you need in your production if you want to sell it on a certain market, but then also know how to approach the market, okay, how to do the marketing, generating leads, so finding buyers. Okay, for finding buyers also, as you have just said, to find buyers for your products, for this you need to do market intelligence. Okay, this research of buyers, so research of trade data, research of market information, of course, but also research on potential partners and buyers. Okay, all of this is part of your market intelligence as well. And then it extends all over the process. So from preparing for a market, launching your product to a market, up until collecting feedback from the market, okay, to see if that what you have just put on the market can fly, or if you need to adjust a little bit, okay, if you really hit the target that you had in mind before, okay, if you really hit that target group that you had in mind. Or maybe you need to adjust a little bit on the product, on the packaging, on the marketing, right? On your presence on internet or whatever. Okay, for all of this is all market intelligence. So it comes in a lot of moments, in a lot of sequences, and a lot of steps that you have in your day-to-day business. Okay. Thank you very much for this very good feedback. It's exactly that. It's useful for a lot of things. Okay. A lot of operations that you may have in your day-to-day business. New operations that you start, new businesses and markets that you start, but also existing business. It's important to get some info, aka feedback, from the market as well. Basically, two very, very important reasons for market intelligence, especially when you go off to new markets, when you want to launch a new product, is you cannot sell to all buyers everywhere. You cannot contact all buyers everywhere, okay? Nor can you produce for all potential buyers everywhere, right? You may have a nice product that could be very suitable for the local market, for the regional market, but then for diverse international markets as well. But you cannot sell to all of them, okay? You want to find out those markets that are potentially the most promising market for you, okay? The less challenging market potentially as well. So here it's about finding the right market for you. And on the other hand, what you have said, James, to adjust your feedback, to know how to get it to the consumer and to the buyer as well. Here, first impressions are very important. First impressions are key to success. So when you go to a market, you want to come prepared. Okay. It's a bit like setting the focus and mapping out the way to success. Okay, so creating this roadmap, having a clear idea about where do I want to go, which is my market, and how do I get there. Okay, in this one, market intelligence is pretty much the lever for your where to go. So the selection of target markets, as you have just said, right? The selection of potential clients as well, and also how to get there. And this how to get there is part of the roadmap. And this roadmap, we can say, is an export marketing plan, export marketing strategy with a concrete export marketing plan. So really a preparation of your export marketing. Same can apply also for a local market, okay? So when you want to take it to a local market, you want to take a new product to a local market, you need to have sort of a marketing strategy and plan. And this strategy will tell you, okay, which market segment do I target, and how do I get there? How do I bring it on the market? You mentioned and understanding pricing, for example. All this is a topics or a question that you would tackle with this export marketing plan. Okay, in this, it is really a lever that can help you and will steer a lot of action and consequences and measures throughout your whole business. So here, market intelligence is really becoming a core element of the whole machine to have it running properly. So here, before you start with market intelligence and you start taking the right conclusions, how you get it to the market, it is essential that you know your product as well, okay? If you want to assess the potential of your product in a certain market or a certain segment, it's not only about looking at a market, but you need to know what your product is, okay? Might seem a stupid question, but sometimes you discover a potential where you never thought you'd have it, okay? Especially when we speak about natural ingredients. When you have a fruit powder, for example, you know that you have a product which is a powder, but sometimes producers or processors are not fully aware of the technical capacities or the technical criteria functions, for example, of their product. Could be that your powder is a wonderful binding agent, for example, right? Or can be rich in proteins, jackfruit seed powder, for example, which you never thought of, but can be used as an ingredient rich in proteins, 2 cereal bars or whatever, and all of a sudden you have a new potential, a new opportunity in the market. But you will only find this potential when you understand your product and you understand, okay, my product is this and this and this. These are, for example, the technical specifications of my product. So, as a producer by nature, you should have a focus on your product. As a marketeer or a research or a buyer's person, okay, your focus will be on the market. Now, you, when doing research, your focus should be on both, okay? You need to understand your product and you need to understand the market. When you're doing research, when you want to launch a product on the market, you need to understand both. So it's really about that. You're looking for a match between the product, potentially service as well, and the target market. And ideally, that match is you bring a solution for the needs of the market, okay? So when you analyze the market, look for interests in the market, look for trends in the market, look for opportunities in the market. And then understand how your product can deliver on that. This is the strategy that we call pull selling, as opposite to push selling. In push selling, you just throw your product on the market and you don't even care if the market wants it or not. But I'm sure that you know, bringing a product to the market that nobody wants is quite a hassle. Okay, much better you find the persons that could be interested in your product, and then are willing to pay a good price for it. Okay, but for this, you need to understand who might need this product, who might want this product, understand what the market is looking for. So here the message is you need to understand both, okay? Really know your product in detail and understand the market needs and interests. And this is the game that you play in that, okay, selecting the target market. The game is matching the product and the market. You have a dice, it goes into a dice. It doesn't go into a round hole, okay? It goes into the squared hole. A round hole probably will not be able to receive your dice. Nor would you be able to make a round shape out of the dice. It would cost you a lot of effort. Why not going directly to the market that is good for you? Okay, so the question is, what do I have in hand and where does it fit in? Now, why do you need an export marketing plan? Why do you need this roadmap? It's a bit of how to get there and how to perform. What do you see here at the picture? probably a guy that doesn't know very much where he is, huh? And how to play on that turf. It's a guy who's playing soccer on a golf court. Do you think he will make much success? Do you think he will make many friends there? Most likely not, huh? So for this, an export marketing plan can help us, okay? It can help us create this roadmap. It can help us to create this strategy, this marketing strategy as well, to help understand, okay, how to perform on a certain turf, how to play a game, how to play on a certain field, okay? But then also how I can bring my ball into the hole at the very end. Okay, this ball probably will not fit in a hole on a golf court, right? So he will never make it to score. So here it's about being prepared as well, about knowing your turf and know how to act on your turf. All this is something that, based on market intelligence, you would work in an export marketing plan. Muguru David, please, you raised your hand. Feel free to speak up.
Yes. I'm talking about that guy who was playing that football. As you can see, he's not having even the game kit. He's playing with the shoes, the ordinary shoes.
Yeah.
So that's one that.
Sorry, I think you got cut off. But that's exactly a point. So he's totally not coming prepared, huh? I don't know if you play any golf.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think we lost you when you said that he's not even wearing the proper shoes. You got disconnected a bit. But I was just taking up that point. I don't know if you play any golf, but when you come to a golf court and you're not wearing golf shoes, but you wear your ordinary shoes, you will not be permitted to enter, huh? That might create a lot of trouble.
But now, even according to he looks as if he's playing soccer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's it. He's totally not prepared for it, right?
Exact. Yeah.
He didn't bring the right balls. He didn't bring the right gear, right?
Yes. Yeah.
He might want to score on that. He thinks, oh, what a nice turf, what a nice game to play. But he doesn't know the rules of the game, right?
Yes, exact.
And in the end, he will lose a lot of reputation, okay? He might even get beaten for that, what he's doing there.
he will lose everything.
Yeah. Absolutely. And you don't want to lose everything when you go to a new market or when you launch a new product, right? So for this,
we don't.
Yeah.
We want to gain, not to lose.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah, and make profit.
That's the point. And you want to end up with success. So you want to make sure that when there is a tournament on the golf court, that you don't come up with your football shoes or with your football and your apparel, and you will, well, you can shoot as much as you want, right? The others, they will finish up much quicker than you do. So you won't make a point there. So the idea is a bit to prepare, okay? So to study the markets before you go there, to learn the rules of the game, to get to know your turf. So exactly that you can win, right? Going to a market, launching a product, this is an investment. This costs you money. Marketing costs you money. So you want to have return on that investment as well. And for this, very essential that you know what is the best way to succeed. Okay, so this roadmap to success, this export marketing plan or whatever roadmap to success is extremely useful and extremely necessary for you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for this contribution and your observations. Very well. So that message.
Thank you too.
Thank you very much. That message is really clear. You want to make success, And for this, a good planning, a good strategy is pretty much essential. Okay. Here, we were speaking about the export marketing plan, about this so-called roadmap, and it's covering various components of your business and your business activity. Okay. So an export marketing plan would focus on basically six parts, 6 elements. It would help you to answer the question of position. Okay, so which market is a good market for you? Which market is a good potential market? The soccer guy most likely would have been better at a soccer field than at a golf court. Okay, maybe he would have had better chances there. So position would focus on the market, which market you would sell to, but then also potentially which market segment you can sell to. Okay, who is your customer in that? Is it a high spending customer, the mass customer, right? This is what you can define under position. The product is deciding on a good product for a market, deciding on the marketability of the product, but then also connected to product services, after sales services, for example. What kind of after sales services do you need for that market? So what is your offer actually for the market? Place, it's a bit in line with position, but place is more looking into distribution channel, right? You have the whole value chain, the whole supply chain. At what part do you come in? How can you best enter a certain target market, right? It can start, for example, with linking up with an exporter in your home country, and he or she is taking it to the target market. Okay, could work through an importer in the target market, could work through a co-packer in the target market who's repacking it and then bringing it to supermarkets, to the retail, for example. Or is it retail that you target, right? Quite close to the final consumer already. Or industry, if you want to sell directly to industry. Or is it the final consumer? And then you do e-commerce or something like this. So here, the step in the distribution chain is the question when we talk about place. Price, Agatha, you mentioned, understand the pricing is extremely important in export markets, right? So based on your market research, you can get a feeling for the price, okay? And then in your export market planning, you would have to come up with a solid idea of price, okay? You want to be, of course, competitive on a market, but also you want to win from it, right? You don't want to lose money. So based on the research, find out what prices people are paying for the product. It may also be a decision criteria, okay? If a market is not paying good for the product, then it's probably not your market. You will only lose money on it. So price is based on market intelligence, come up with a good price, and then also linked to the position that you're aiming for, linked to the distribution channel that you're aiming for. All this can define your price, okay? Is it a high selling, a niche market, a luxury market you sell to? Is it the mass market and you need to come in with a lower price? All this will be integrated or should be integrated in your planning before going to a market. Promotion then is what James has mentioned, how to get it also to the buyer, to the consumer, how you present your product, how you promote your product, okay? Which messages you bring across, which information you need to share, which channels and tools you use for promoting it. If you do e-commerce, you need to invest heavily in your online presence, for example, right? If you sell to the industry, you need to have a separate set of marketing material, for example, ready for them. All this also is covered in promotion. And then a sixth component that is increasingly gaining importance is your impact on people, planet, and profit. This is part of the key message a bit that many people are looking into it. So how does your product or your operations benefit potentially the people in the target market who can be your customers and consumers, but then also the people working with you and everybody in your business, okay? And potentially the community around you or the suppliers. So what is happening to the people all along the value chain? What is your impact on planet? What is your impact on profit? Profit for you, profit or benefit for your potential partners and customers. Okay, for all this, you need to have market intelligence in place. You need to have market or research data, okay, to decide on these points. Any questions to the export marketing plan? No? Then I would just quickly sum up. Planning your export marketing is a must. As our colleagues here said already, it will increase your chances to succeed, okay? That you select the appropriate market segment, channel, with the right product and quality, supported by the required documentation and certification, potentially, with the right promotion materials, with an appropriate and competitive price and cost ratio, the right people on board, okay? All this will help you to save costs and reputations and to succeed. Now I would come with you to speak about the next point. Sorry, but this is not the one I was looking for. Oh yeah, it is, but it says 4, so it's supposed to be 2. Market research step by step. Having identified market research and market intelligence as being very useful for you, the question is now, how can you do it? How can you live it? Okay, as we see, it is so essential on so many dimensions. Okay, it's coming into play and having a decisive role to play on so many decisions that you take on a day-to-day basis. How can you do it? And here, just before you get started, some key messages that I want to give you is it is key to success. So make sure that when you research, you specify your area of interest, okay? So a certain product, a certain market, it is more helpful when you could decide on a certain potential target market that you want to look into instead of looking globally, okay? Let's take it step by step. So let's start with little pieces instead of trying to get the worldwide picture immediately, okay? Start doing some research and then you understand, okay, maybe that market is good, maybe that market is good, and then you look into it a bit more. But then try to be specific, okay? Looking into a certain product, a certain region, sector, distribution channel. When doing the research, it's very good to have clear and precise questions in mind. Okay, you can have overall questions. For example, what is the potential of my product in this market? But then you would need to have very precise and clear questions that will take you to the proper answer. Okay, so under this big question, what is the potential of my product in this market, might come smaller questions, right? Or subordinated questions such as, which products is this market buying at all? Okay. What are the requirements, etc. So here, clear and precise questions will help you finding clear and precise answers. Use various sources to get the full picture. Don't work with one source only. Okay. By this also, you can reduce the likeliness of having not credible data, okay, of having wrong data, but then also you would get feedback or ideas from different angles. For certain information, it's good to use that source. For other types of information, maybe you have to use another source as well. When you do the research, make sure that you document your findings as well so that you can use it. You may get a lot of information, okay, but documenting it later will help you to build the full picture, to get the full picture and draw your conclusions, not forgetting anything. Okay, here you can work with contact sheets, questionnaires, reports. We will talk about it by the end of this session. when I've asked you on which occasions you do market research, you mainly said, okay, it's when we launch a new product, when we go to a new market. Important to understand is that market research is not a one-off thing, okay? Markets change. So you may have a look at a market at a certain time now, but the market in 3 months or 6 months or 1 year may be completely different, okay? The potential for your product might be a completely other than it has been 3 or 6 months ago. So markets change, so do demands and also offers. It's very important that you keep track of that you keep yourself updated on the market, okay? Like roughly 2 years ago, nobody would have thought that Russia would go into Ukraine, but they did, and it changed the market in Europe tremendously. It changed the market in Germany tremendously, okay? All of a sudden we had inflation. All of a sudden people were spending less on food, okay? Of course, you will recognize those dramatic changes, but those things happen. Those external factors affecting your market will come into play. So will new trends emerge in the market, in your market segment, where it's very important to keep track of them. Or Agata, you mentioned compliance issues. Regulations, they're changing, okay? European Union, for example, they love to develop new regulations, new directives. You need to keep track of that. When you do organic, for example, all of a sudden there's new certification schemes, new documentation that you need to hand in. So you need to know that. Okay, so market research is not a one-off thing. Market research is something that you should do continuously. Just to start, I quickly introduce to you how to do market research. It is a circular approach, I tell you. It starts off with the questions, okay? So everything depends on the questions that you have on a certain market. What is it that I need to find out about this market? Based on this, you would choose your research method. So which method is the best one to give you the answers? We set up a research, define a bit who does what, when do I do what, which tools may I use. Part of the research will be looking into sources, online sources, okay, as there's a lot of information online already. But then, of course, you will obtain a lot of information, a lot of market data that you need to digest, okay, that you need to analyze in order to be able to draw conclusions, concrete conclusions for your business. Then, very important, document your findings so that you can keep them, okay, and that you can share them in the company. Next week, then, we will speak about the part of how to activate this data. So what to do with it, how to benefit from the research, okay, what to use it for. We will take a look in how can we use it for export marketing, okay, but this after a first input on the sector, which we will have next week. So this is a bit the approach of how you can do market research, okay, have a clear idea about questions, about methods you can use, about online tools that you can use, and also of how to do the interpretation of the data, okay, how to analyze the findings. What does that mean for your company then? With this, I would say, let's take a break, okay, and we go into details right after the break. Let's take a break of 10 minutes. So I'll meet you at 25, okay, sorry, it's 35 already. So at 1:45, we'll be back here, okay? 3:45, and then we continue with the next steps. Anybody is not okay with this, then please let me know in the chat. Other than that, I see you back in 10 minutes. Thanks for this first part already. Okay, is everybody back? You had a good cup of coffee or some fresh water? Are we ready to continue? Okay. Very good. James, you're ready. Yep. Thank you. So am I. So let's kick it off again for the second part of today's training. And now let us look into defining research questions. The very first step to do when you want to look out for information is to define what do you want to know about the market. Okay. Before defining questions, here is some information or some ideas on it. Okay. Select the big topics that you want to include on your research, like big buzzwords that are interesting for you, right? Agatha, you mentioned compliance, for example. So potentially regulation could be something. Then, based on this, define specific questions for each of the topics that is interesting for you. The research questions that you define, they must be workable. So concrete enough, okay? So that data can provide you some answer to it, or so that reports can give you some answer to it. Make use of open questions to get the full picture. I guess you all know what open questions are. So all these questions that we cannot answer with a yes or a no, but where we get some more information on it, okay? We tend to speak about the husband and the 6 wives in this context. The husband would correspond to how. The 6 wives would be what, which, when, where, who, and why. Okay, so every question that starts with that words is an open question. What is the advantage of open questions? You get to know concepts. You get the full picture, okay? You understand decision-making processes. Why do they buy certain things, right? Unless when you ask, do you buy from that region? You just get yes or no. But if you ask, where do you buy from? And why do you buy from that? You get more ideas, okay? You get information that is extremely useful for you to work with then later on. So open questions help you to get the full picture. Very important, try to get it right from the beginning. Be very specific when you ask questions and when you do the research, that you focus on the variety, the type, the species, the material, etc., that you're really interested in, that you're researching, right? So don't look into all fruits when in fact you're looking for avocado only, or when you're looking for pineapple only. Make sure that you can look into data for pineapple, okay? There may be differences in it. Also, when you look into dried pineapple, the results that you may obtain may be different from fresh pineapple or from pineapple in brine. Okay, so here it is important that you're very specific. Maybe that imports in pineapple went up over the last year, but they went down for fresh pineapple, okay? Or they went down for dried pineapple, your product exactly, okay? Or herbs. We're just hearing about herbs, Bernard. So when you look into all herbs, you will get the general picture, but that doesn't necessarily 100% correspond to your herb, okay? Very good. So these are just some remarks before we kick off with the questions. And now I want to do this work with you, defining some questions. What do you want to find out about the target market, or what questions should you ask about a target market? And here I want to invite you to type some questions in the chat. Okay, there's different dimensions, different questions that we can ask about the target market. But let us collect some questions in the chat. I would give you a little hint to make it easier for you. Questions can relate to the context, for example, legislation or regulation. They can relate to the customers. Okay, they can relate to competitors. Or they can relate to the channel, the distribution channel. Now, please make up your mind about questions. And please write them in the chat. Any question that you have, ideally use open questions, okay? What open questions do you have? Or what questions should you ask when you're looking into a new market? So we lost Bernardo. Unfortunately, Rafael is with us. James, Angela Kariuki, thanks for joining us as well. Nagonga Moody, thanks for being here. We didn't have you in the introduction round, but I'm happy to have you here. So please share with me the questions that you may have. Please put it in the chat. Or unmute your microphone. Rafael, you're mentioning customers, but what precise question do you have related to customers? Please type it in the chat or unmute your microphone as well. What precise questions do you have related to customers? What is your question?
What specifically do my customers need?
Mm-hmm. Okay, very good. What are the needs of my customers? A very intelligent question, I think, because this is very useful for you then when you define your value proposition, what you offer to them. Very good. I will type that question for you here. What are the needs of my customers? What are the age groups for my customers? Susan is writing. Okay. What is the age group of my customers? Which age group is buying that? That can be very interesting when you think about marketing, about how to promote your products, how to create visibility for your product. Certain age groups, they use different sources for obtaining information. Think of millennials and think of your grandmother, for example, right? They will see different things because they use different sources. When you want to reach a young age group, millennials, for example, you would have to be present online, okay? It's very important that you can be in social media, for example, or that you can at least be on the website because they spend a lot of time on their phone. In different product groups or other product groups, it's very important to work with influencers when we speak about apparel or when we speak about fashion in general, right? Or cosmetics or makeup. When you want to target young customers, it's very important to have this reference management. So influencers, for example. Other questions that you may have related to customers, but then also in theory related to the context or to the distribution chain. What comes to your mind? Or do you have any other questions? How can I bridge existing gaps? A question related to competitors. Okay, this is a very strategic question, Susan. Very good question. So how can I bridge existing gaps? I think before that, a very first question is
a question.
Yeah, please, James.
A question to consider in competitors. You ask them what service do they offer best, that's that you can improve.
Yeah. Exactly. So all this competitor analysis is extremely essential. So taking a look at competitors, trying to see what services they offer best, and maybe learn from them can be extremely helpful for you. And this can help you to bridge gaps. Okay. On the other hand, looking at competitors will help you to sharpen your position, will help you to sharpen your point and say, okay, this is where I am super competitive. This is where I'm even better than them. Okay. And these are the other areas where they are better than I am. So it is those. On the one hand, it helps you to become more competitive, to close and bridge existing gaps. On the other hand, there is a lot you can learn from them, James, as you said. So look at what services they offer best, and then try to copy or learn from that. Okay. Another question related to competitors would also be, how do they distribute their products? Okay, let me write that down for you. How do they distribute their products? Which channels do they use? So this could be something that you could make use of as well, learning from them. But I think the very first question that you should ask yourself is, who are my competitors? That's where it starts with. Before you can analyze them, you need to understand who are your competitors in your target market, for example. Who are the big brands that are there? Which countries are there? Right? And then take a look at what they offer and which service they offer best, for example. Now, some good questions here related to your competitors. Questions on the context. Do you have any questions related to the context, the overall market, so to say? Very general questions, for example, in regards to the EU market or the regional market. A hint, Agatha was speaking about compliance. So can you make up a question related to what we can call the context, the legal framework, for example, or the overall conditions of a market? Anything coming to your mind? Susan, maybe you have an idea. Or maybe I can invite Agatha. As you were speaking about compliance, what would be concrete questions to ask now when you look into our market? When you want to be compliant, which are the questions that you should have to ask to find answers to?
I think issues of say because of our standards, implementation of standards, like the level of compliance as far as traceability is concerned. Are my customers applying the requirements as far as traceability is concerned?
Oh, I'm sorry, we cannot hear you very well. It's getting chopped a bit. Can you repeat your question?
Let me see whether you can hear me now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, now it's better. Wonderful. Thank you, Agatha.
Yes, we have standards like the KS 1758 and traceability requirements. And I think it's important to check whether the customers are compliant as far as the traceability is concerned. Can you be able to trace the origin of the products, for example? So that might be important. Yeah. Yes, traceability and standards. I think the other one, as far as compliance is concerned, is issues of food safety. How safe is the product? I think that is also very important to a market. Yeah.
Very good. So I'll put it here in general points. So can my customers trace the product? This relates to the question, how important is traceability, right? Or what is required in terms of traceability in a certain target market? And then how about food safety? Can my product be safe, or what are the requirements to make my food safe? Of traceability, what is the requirements in regards to food safety? Thank you very much. Very important questions relating to the context. Okay. There is other questions relating to the context. So what are import procedures, for example? All this legal paperwork that comes with it. It's also relating to the context. So everything that for example, the European Union may have defined as rules of the game, all this is something that you find out under context. Okay, how to play the game. What are the regulations, the limitations that you must be aware of? Okay, but also what are your rights on the other hand? So this part of questions relates to the regulations, to the legal framework, but then there's other questions that can be essential for you as well. When you look at the larger market, for example, I don't know if you keep track of the chat, but I'm writing you a question here. How about inflation these days? Very important. Will have a direct impact on your pricing. If inflation is very high and you have a very expensive product, maybe difficult to sell it. Maybe you have to adjust prices or have some special offers. How about purchasing power in general in a certain market, especially when you're selecting a new market? Would be interesting to learn if that market is able to pay the price that you need, is able to compensate the costs that you have from production, right? You don't want to enter a market that doesn't give you the money that you need, or the price does not pay the price that you would like to have. Okay, so here when looking into the overall context, it's a bit analyzing that. So a bit of what is the regulations in a certain market, but then also what's happening on the market in general, right? What could be the potential of the market? Here in the context, you can find some good information, some good first information on it. So a lot of questions you could ask about the context, right? And don't worry, you will have time to do so. So as I've mentioned, by the end of this session, I will share with you an assignment for the next session, which is basically just a little template or word template to help you thinking of some questions that are important for you and potentially find some first answers already. Okay. Now let's move on to the next one. The next point that we have here, questions on customers. Do you have any questions related on customers? Agata, you already mentioned one. Can they trace their product? Can they make sure the product is safe? Do you have other questions related to them, to the customers? Suzanne or Rafael, do you have any question related to customers? Or maybe James, you can think of a question again. Or Muguru, do you have a question on customers? As you're looking into organic. Yes, please.
Yes,
Go ahead.
I'm having a question. How can I be able to maintain my current customer, and also how can I keep on getting more customers so that the business may thrive? Yes.
Okay, very good. So this is again an overall question. How can I maintain my customer? How can I get more customers? Thank you for your question. So questions that would relate to it pretty much is what is interesting for my customers, for my existing customers or for my potential customers. So what do my existing customers expect from me? Expect or need. Exactly. How do I appeal to my customers? Very good, Rafael. Very good. So how can I get more customers? How can I be attractive? Or in other words, what is appealing to my customers? What is attractive to my customers? And here we come to that point of understanding decision-making criteria. Okay? So what is important for my customers when making the decision of buying organic herbs, for example, or of buying a dried pineapple, or when buying fresh mango, right? How do they make their choice? How do they decide, oh, this is appealing and this not? Right? So what are the things that my customers value? What do my customers value? Right? What are their decision-making criteria? But then something that you've mentioned, Muguru, is also how can I maintain my customers? Okay, so here the question is of what we call customer retention. So to keep them. And we no longer speak about only the product, but we also speak about after-sales services, for example, about communication with my customers afterwards, right? So here again is what service package would be expected from them, or what works best. Very good question from James. Current purchase trends on a region by region basis. What has affected purchases? What is currently stifling production from my region? Very good. And here this point of purchasing power, of overall economic situation is very important as well, right? So in Germany, for example, we are affected by the impacts from the war in Ukraine. We have inflation very much. It's going down, but in the beginning it's been tough because we depended so much on gas in Germany, right? And overall, people became a bit more hesitant, a bit more hesitant when taking purchasing decisions. But here are some very good questions on the customers. Okay, so how do they behave? A little bit in this context is to understand who are potential customers, right? And then how do they function? How can I understand what they need? How can I win them for my project as well, for my product? Okay, very good. Some very good first questions. Questions on the channel, which we haven't had yet. The channel, again, would relate to distribution channel. So the overall question, how to get my products to the market. Can you think of concrete questions here? Muguru, I see your hand is still up. Do you have a comment, or is it up from before? Or could you think of a question just now? Think about logistics. Do you have any question related to logistics? Let's assume you meet a buyer from European Union and he says, oh, I'm interested in buying a container from you. Please send me an offer with the best logistics situation or logistic option that you can choose from Kenya. I'm sure you would have a question in mind. Unmute your mic and tell us. Or other than that, I can type it. Use the chat if you have any questions on the channel. Because that's a very decisive point as well. You need to bring your products over to the market then. Right? So there's a lot of investigation that you need to do. And then I know that that in Kenya, many people, they work on an ex-work basis. So they don't handle logistics a lot. Okay, maybe your buyer is taking care of logistics, so it's not a big issue for you, unless the buyer would ask you to send an offer on a CIF basis, for example, right? Then maybe logistics is something that you handle with a freight forwarder even, so you're not very much into the logistics part. But then when we look on the channel, same link into the customers. So which distribution channel is appropriate for you, right? One question I have, as an example, is my product fit for retail? Sorry for the funny typing. But is my product fit for retail? I will ask about the customer because she is the consumer of the product. Okay, that is a good approach. So taking a look at the customer and seeing where he or she is buying the product can give you an idea of the distribution channel. Absolutely. That can be a good solution. But then a bit same to the customers. So tracing this, we spoke of traceability. Agatha, you mentioned the traceability. So what documentation is needed all along the distribution channel? But then thinking about channel, let us also think about communication channel, right? So not only how to bring my product across, but how to bring my message across. So we may ask, what comm channels should I use? Which documentation is needed? A whole lot of questions like these. Okay. So see, once you start getting into the point, once you activate your mind on a certain question, more questions will come up automatically. Okay. So thank you very much for your responses so far. You will have plenty of opportunity to work on it in the homework assignment. And in the next session also, we will look for some answers on core questions that you may have in your market research. Okay, may help you to always think about these 4C: context, customers, competitors, and channels. There is a lot to learn from all of them, okay, from all different dimensions, from all different players in the market. And every player, every piece in the value chain may hold some very useful information for you. Okay, thank you. Let us continue then. Here again, some bullet points that may be interesting in the context. It's the legal requirements, it's the trade politics, preferential arrangement and tariff barriers may also have a big impact on your pricing, for example. The overall market trends, as you have mentioned, James, as well, that also relate to consumer trends, right? When we speak about customers and competitors, first question I would have in mind is always, well, who is it? Who's competing with me? Okay, and who could be a potential customer? So then also taking a look into market segments. How does it work? Is the organic market totally separate from the conventional market, for example? Is it a different group of people that is buying organic? The product demand, minimum order quantity is also interesting when you speak to customers, when finding out who could be a customer for you, okay? And then what is it they are looking for? What technical specifications do they need? What other requirements do they have on top of the legal requirements related to the overall context? Competitors, origin, what products do they have? What price level do they have? What is the strength and weaknesses? So doing all this analysis of the competitors in order to close gaps, as you have mentioned, is very helpful. Okay. Also looking at their marketing. So how do they market their products? Which buzzwords do they use to market? Then in the channels, so what is the market segmentation? Which key players do you have in the market? How about logistics? Here's some good bunch of questions that will be all very interesting when you enter a new market or launch a new product. All these questions you should have an answer to when you want to be well prepared for a certain market. Okay, so look into all different dimensions that you can really make sure that you know the market a little bit, that you're also aware of the opportunities, okay, of potential threats, of strength that you may have, or whatever may be a challenge to you in the market. Okay, let's come to the next point. You have defined your questions. Now you want to look for answers. How do you get these answers? This is the second point now when you choose your research method. Okay, basically there is two ways to obtain information. There is desk research and there is field research. I think the pictures are pretty clear. Desk research is you're sitting on your computer, you tap existing sources. So you look in the internet for online data, for reports, for analysis that you can find online, okay? There is a lot of information online, but not always is it specific for your products or your company in scope. So you still need to do some interpretation, and this is something that you do with the desk research. So it's more than copy paste in many cases. Still, you need to digest the data. Field research, on the other hand, is you doing primary research in the market. What do I mean by that? It means you go out and take a look in the market, speak to people in the market to get information, to get feedback, to make observations. Okay. This is something that you can do by focus groups, for example, by interviews. Something that you can do with online surveys or testing groups, by simple observations. Right? So here, those two are options represent activities that you can do to obtain information. It is important that you have a clear idea, okay, what can I do? Now, choosing your research method. When we look at these big topics that we've been speaking about already, okay, we've been speaking about demand. We spoke about trends, about potential segments, so where to sell to, about the channels, how to get my product there, requirements in the market, potential certification a market is needing or a buyer is needing, on competition, but also questions on buyers. When would you say it makes sense to do research with online sources? And when would you say it makes sense to do field research in the market directly? Muguru, what do you think? When would you look into the computer? Or when would you say it makes sense to go in the market and speak to people directly? James, do you have an idea? Where does it make sense to speak to people?
I think there's no limit to when you stop speaking to people, because market conditions are changing on a moment by moment basis. So you never stop speaking to people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're very right. And this is part of it as well. So when we look at online data, it has been processed. Okay. We already had all this process of market research, of analysis, of putting it into a report. So the market data we find there maybe has been elevated, has been collected a couple of months ago. So it may not represent the very newest situation, okay, the ultimate situation right now. So then speaking to people will give us an update. And James, you're very right. You can speak with people about everything. All these topics that you see there, they're all topics that you can discuss with all different type of people, with all different players. On which topic would you say, however, it also makes sense to look in online sources? James, maybe from you. When would you consider looking into online sources?
I use both talking to people and desk research as complementary. So I see them complementing one another, because you're limited by your location where you are. So whenever you use desk research, you're basically trying to find out what are the current conditions as per that data set, as per that snapshot of information that you're getting at that moment. So even when I'm looking at the current trends of what has been happening in terms of the sales cycle, what the weather patterns are, how that has affected the production in that certain country. So that's what I'm looking at now when I'm doing desk research, in terms of this is a leading market. If I'm doing anything to do with selling to a particular organic market, these are the current trends as far as who has been supplying on a country by country basis. This is the highest producer of this particular product I'm looking to work with. How do we gain an advantage as a country? So it might be looking at what are the weather predicted weather patterns there. So it might cause production in that country to go low. Then I use that as an opportunity to look like, okay, these are the conditions and what we need to do as far as now raising production on our end, because it may be that on that country they're not able to augment or try to specialize with their production based on the weather conditions, so they will go into a loss. But then what can I do on my end? Can I use that as an advantage to ship to that particular market? So that's how I use both. And then now also finding out information on the ground. How does it look like?
Yeah. You're very good. Thank you very much. Pretty much like this, it can work very well. Okay, so online sources, there's a lot of things online that you can find out by desk research to get the general picture, and then like applying it to your sector or to the current situation can help you a lot when to speak to people. Okay, so by this you can use them very well complementary. Okay, there is some information that you will not find online, right? Where you have to speak to people, but all in all, I think they can go very well hand in hand on all of these topics that you see. Muguru, do you have an idea?
Yes, I could also like to add on something.
Yeah.
I think it makes sense during the trades, because after certification of your product, and you look at the demand in the marketplace, that one you have to go to the field to see for yourself how the consumer is in need of the product. Then you just go back to your desk, and then you have to write the requirement which you have gathered from the field. Then from there you can know how to handle everything, and also to be able to know about the competition.
Yeah.
Because you can't know the competition without knowing the requirement. In fact, you might be having some, let us say, for example, the organic. Say, some clients or some farmers will need it with some element like organic carbon, and perhaps like now when you talk about this conventional fertilizer, they don't have the organic carbon. They have the acidity in their products. So you have to play. You have to at least to try to segment what you have learned from the field. Yeah. And also you have to know the macro and micro elements of your organic. What convection has and what does it not has. So that one will be able to give you a good area of marketing after going to the field and trying to get the demand from the farmers. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah, especially when you have concrete companies or farmers in mind that you want to do business with, in your case, then it's very important that you speak to them directly, okay? That you approach them on the field to get their specific demands. You can get, by desk research, an overall general idea of what could be important, right? But then you need to verify that, speaking to the people, going to the field, doing this field research. So this is how field research and desk research can complement very well. Okay, one example, another example to show you how they can play together in the team, desk research and field research, is on trade data. Okay, what is the demand for my product? So Muguru, you just said it makes sense to go to the field and to look at the demand for my product there. Okay, but we can also start with a desk research on trade statistics, for example, right? So we can browse some online sources and see, okay, this is the demand for potentially fertilizers, or this is the demand for dried herbs or for dried pineapple in my target market. There is good sources and statistics online. Then, of course, speak to industry experts, to buyers, importers, to find out if they really need it, if the statistics really cover the specific product, right? If it's interesting to buy this product from Kenya, for example. Okay, so this is how they can complement when you want to look into demands or trade data. Or also looking into competition. They can also link very well. Who are my competitors? You might find out by doing desk research, okay, on statistics to see which countries are supplying to your target market, for example. But then speaking to target customers can give you an idea of whom are they buying from and why do they buy from them, right? Why do they buy rather from Thailand than from you, for example, when it's about dried pineapple? or dried herbs? Why do they buy their dried rosemary from France or from Tunisia or from Morocco instead of buying it from Kenya? Right? So here, also these two can link very well. A question that I have, having these methods in mind, when can you do market research? I know that some of you, they do it on a day-to-day business because it is your job. But when can you do market research? Do we always need to have a project for it? Do we need to separate a week or 2 days or a month to do market research? You might anticipate what my answer will be. Basically, you can do it always, okay? Even desk research. Here on that picture, you can see newsletters. So you could subscribe to newsletters, interesting newsletters for your industry that will provide you with fresh information on the market on a day-to-day basis. You don't need to read it all the time, okay? You don't need to read the whole newsletter, but at least you can stay updated on a certain market. So subscribing to newsletters can be a smart idea at times. And you have the information accessible when you're in the office on your laptop, but you can also check it on the smartphone when you're sitting in the car somewhere. Unless you're driving yourself, please, then not. But here, newsletters can give you fresh input on a daily basis. Market research can also start in the morning when you have your coffee and your breakfast, right? And you just open the newspaper. In the newspaper, you'll find some information that is also relevant for your market research, for example. Some info in the economic part of the newspapers, for example, or when it's speaking about politics, that is giving you some input, some food for thought on your market research. And then, of course, when you go to supermarkets, great thing. When I go to a new market or to a new country, I love to go to the supermarkets and to see what is in store there. Okay, you can compare between products. You can see what's in there. Probably also what's the requirements, what's the demand, right? When you go to a European supermarket, you will find a lot of certifications on the products. Last time I've been to Cote d'Ivoire, I did not see that many, for example. And then it can be interesting to compare the products, also to get an idea of the competitors, right? This can be very helpful. So in this sense, this is like situations where you don't think of really running a research project, but day-to-day situations where you can get fresh information, fresh input from the market, right? When you're traveling, looking into shops is a great opportunity to obtain market information. Then, of course, you can visit other companies, see their production. We did that a lot just to get an understanding of standards, of certifications as well. How does it look at the ground? And then we'll go to one thing that you refer to also, the trade. So the trade fairs. Whenever you are in trade fairs, you can speak to so many people. Okay, you can speak to buyers, you can speak to competitors, you can speak to peers, to people that are doing the same, for example. So speaking to people is perfect at trade fairs, but at the same time, you can just be there and observe. Look at the packaging. How do they pack? Okay, how do they pack their product? How do they label their product for the European market, for example? How do they communicate and market their product, right? If you're on a trade fair and you see that there is so many people at a certain booth, then probably that product is running well. Try to understand what is it that they do that the product is running so well, right? So here, there is so many opportunities to do market research. It doesn't need to be a complex project. It is more a question of mentality, okay, of having this hunger to get information from the markets that can be very useful for you. Sometimes we come across very useful information and we're not even aware of it. And then we don't see it. So it is a matter of really having your eyes open and ears open and being aware that everywhere you can collect information that is market research, okay? Without necessarily sitting in front of your computer for 8 hours and researching tough regulations on the internet. Okay. Important is really you can speak out your questions to everybody. Muguru, you're just saying after rolling out your product in the market, you may do market research after the 6 months, after the first 6 months. Very good. So this is something that James also mentioned, to get feedback from the market. Okay. So after launching a product, taking a look at the market and see how your product is performing there. So really accompanying the market and your products in the market. The one point is I want to mention here, market research is something that you can do with buyers as well. So whenever you meet a buyer, this interview will help you, first of all, to understand the market, but also to understand your buyer and to understand the needs of your buyers. And based on this, you can come up with a very good proposal in the end, or highlight certain aspects of your product, right? To convince the buyer to buy your product. So practically this market research, this market analysis is part of your interaction with buyers by nature, sorry. Okay, so do not hesitate to ask buyers a lot of questions to get to know their business, but also to get to know his or her objectives and pain points. Right? So you can ask them on requirements, and that may be different requirements than the requirements of the legislation in the country. For example, certificates, right? Ask about maximum level of residues or other the like, the required packaging. Funny thing is that mostly importers, they'll value if you ask questions because it shows that you try to understand their needs. It's a certain way of commitment when you want to find out more about how the other person is perceiving something, right? How they're feeling about something. I'm sure you can observe that also in your relationships that you have to people, okay? People that only speak about themselves and never ask you, hey, what is about you? What is interesting about you? Are a bit sometimes boring to us, or not really friendly to us. Huh? So making questions is part of creating a relationship, part of creating a good relationship with buyers. So please don't hesitate to ask your questions to buyers. Instead of appearing stupid and unprofessional, you would rather be someone who is concerned to getting it right, okay? To serve them on their needs. Don't forget to listen. It's very important. And this is something we will speak about when we talk about documentation, okay? It's important that you listen to the answers so that you can really obtain the good information. Do you have questions on the methods? No questions on that? Okay. Then let's continue quickly with the third point. You have defined your questions. You have an idea of how you can get information, how you can get answers to it, okay, by either speaking to people, doing field research, or doing desk research. Now you need to set up a bit the whole concept, okay? Whether you do it yourself or somebody else in the company, it's very important that you have defined some key objectives or core questions, the methods and sources that you can use, who is doing what, and the time and budget, okay? also have defined which tools you can use and how you can document your findings. Again, as I've said, it's not necessary that you run a full project. Okay, it's just as a company, you should be clear. How can you collect information and when and who does it and how can you share this information? Okay. Muguru, in case you don't go to the trade fair, but somebody else goes to the trade fair, then you need to agree on a certain way of how you can get this information from the other person, right? Or when you relate to your sales team, make sure that they can give you the feedback on the market, right? So here, having a general concept of how this can work, how this market research can work is very helpful. Muguru, you want to say something?
Yeah.
Please go ahead.
You have talked about going to the field days, workshops, and what have you. Whenever somebody goes there, even during the ACK agricultural shows, just go there and show your product. You market. So one of the way of marketing is using the product, some samples, and also using brochures, using your cards, so that whenever they go and use that product, they come back to you.
Yeah.
So that's one way, especially on the open field, open learning weeks, field days, and show and agricultural shows.
Very good. Yeah, yes. that is how you can then get to the customer. Yes. How you can become appealing to your customers, and there is different ways of using it, right? So for the field days, it's very good to bring samples. Yes. When you work in fresh fruits, for example, and very perishable fruits, and you go to a trade fair in the US or in a trade fair in Europe, it may be difficult to bring those samples, right?
Yes.
For your particular products. So then you would have to think about other ways of communicating this, right? So but these are things that also you will learn in market research, right? So again, when you go to agricultural shows, trade shows, or to other B2B events, take a look at how other companies market themselves. What is useful to communicate with buyers? But thanks for this observation, Mugu. Quite helpful. Okay, coming back to the research, you can benefit from research, from findings on any occasion. Okay, it's important that you have a clear concept in your company as how to obtain the information and how also to share it with the other colleagues. This would take us to the next point. If you have this clarified, now you can start actually doing the research using online sources, but also doing field research. You have defined what questions you have, okay? You have identified when and how and whom could do it. Now it's time to do the research. And I wanted to take you to some online sources to share some sources with you that you can very well use for your research on natural ingredients. Let's share some ideas. Which online sources do you use to find answers? Muguru, do you work with any internet sources to get some ideas?
Yes, I do.
What is it that you use?
In most cases, I use Facebook and the emails. Yeah.
Okay.
And also,
Facebook.
and also WhatsApp. Yeah.
Okay, so this is like really tools that you can use to get information from people.
Yes.
Facebook, WhatsApp. Facebook is also nice even without interacting with people. You can just look at their profile, right?
Yes.
And study them a little bit before you enter into communication with them. Absolutely. Thank you very much. Any other sources that you use? Trade maps. Okay, Angela, you use trade maps. Titus also is looking in Facebook or in Google. Google can be very helpful. Google Advanced Search, for example, can help us to get some very good information. Thank you for this input. So good sources. I see that you are familiar with some of the sources, that you're using some sources. There's newspapers online that we can look. Okay, it doesn't necessarily need to be the newspaper print version. It can be other newspapers. Just looking at the news can give us ideas on the markets as well. That's something that we can do online as well. I wanted to share with you some sources that are focusing more on the European market, but some sources that I like to work with because they're very helpful. Okay. Well, you can just become a fish in the water by going online. There's two sites that are run by the European Commission. The first one is EU Access to Markets, and the second one is Eurostat, a statistical bureau of Europe. I wanted to quickly speak about ITC. As Angela has just mentioned, trade maps. ITC has a nice trade map. I want to speak quickly about the platform of IPD, the SIGWA program, about CBI, a Dutch program, and give you some additional sources. Okay, for this, I would take you online. Well, we already are, but I would take you online to join me on a tour through the pages. And let's start with the access to market. Access to market, as I've said, set up by the European Commission, exporting to the European Union. Here is what you need to know. Okay, it is a website that is made up for people that want to do business with European countries or that want to engage in international trade. So here you can browse on any regulation. Okay, you can browse on any legal requirements applying to your product, but you will also get some statistical information. This whole system is based on a codification that we have, an international codification of the products, the so-called harmonized system, HS code, where each product receives a certain number. Okay, we can look into dried, just one example, dried rosemary. Rosemary coming from Kenya. Where is Kenya? Kenya, sending it to, for example, well, let's say Germany. And let's try if we find some answer. Okay, rosemary, we don't find it. But do we find, for example, let's take cinnamon as a spice. Cinnamon, here we have it. And we get all the information of cinnamon to Germany, from Kenya to Germany. Okay, there may not be much of cinnamon from Kenya to Germany, but what I want to show you is that we can browse here the import requirements. Okay, general requirements. For example, what is the documentation that I need to bring along? The commercial invoice, the customs value declaration, freight insurance, packing list. Some of these you would have to provide, minimum the commercial invoice. And then there's specific regulations, like really regulations on contaminants and foodstuff, okay? On residues, on pesticide residues in your products. Regarding genetically modified food. Okay, so everything that has to do with the compliance of your product will be stipulated here. Also, requirements regarding labeling and traceability. Okay, so clicking on this, you can get some first information on the regulatory context. And also, can you see some trade statistics? And you see, yes, there were some exports, okay, of cinnamon into Germany. Not much, rather sample style, 12 kg, which is totally not much, but at least some people have tried cinnamon. This would give you an idea, okay, probably cinnamon is not the thing to go for from Kenya. But then we can have the same research, for example, on other products, okay? What is a good herb to export from Kenya? Or what is a good processed product to export from Kenya? How about mango dried? Okay, here we have some. Or citrus peel. So this is where you can open the browser and look for your product and then find out what can be the regulations, the tariffs, etc. that is applying to your product. Okay, you see the harmonized system is building up, getting more and more complex, chapter by chapter. Let me quickly check in the chat. Chia seeds. Okay, let's look for chia. We didn't find chia, so then we have to look for the bigger category for chia. Okay, maybe we can look into seeds. Canary seeds, castor oil seeds, clover, colza, linseed, rapeseed, or others. You will find a long list and click your way through. It works also very nice for fresh fruits, this European Commission, but let's not lose too much time on it. What I wanted to show you is we have this tool. We need to play around a little bit, okay, to find some general information. This is set up by the European Commission. It's pretty much, well, the lawmakers, those ones that are taking care of European statistics, they have put it up on this platform. Another interesting platform, for example, also by the European Commission, is the RASFF. There is border inspection at the borders of Europe. So when things enter the European Union, occasionally they will do inspections of containers, of shipments. And whenever there is something that is not compliant, it is registered in the system. And this is done here in this RASFF system, the Rapid Alert System on Food and Feed. Whenever there's something not in line with our regulations and requirements, our legal requirements, it's being documented and it's being rejected. And rejected means that the container has to be shipped back to origin or the product is being destroyed. This is a case you want to avoid, okay? And here in this window, in this site, you can check, okay, what were the cases? In which cases products were rejected? I've been looking here now for pineapple, okay? Anything related to pineapple during this year, any cases that came up for pineapple this year that were rejected at the border. And we see what were the issues. When we look at the first one, high pesticide residues in pineapple from Ghana, right? Very serious. Decision taken, it has to be destroyed, does that mean? And it happened again. Pesticide residues in pineapple from Ghana. We have another one in July, etephone residues in pineapple originating from Ghana. Etephone is something that you use for ripening. Also a serious case. All of that coming from Ghana. So what happens is these shipments will be rejected. They cannot come into the European Union. And if that happens too often, then Ghana can no longer ship pineapples. Okay. It happened to Benin a couple of years back because they couldn't control the Etaphone on their pineapples. So it came to a point where there were so many alerts of pineapples coming from Benin that Benin was banned. Benin could no longer send pineapples to Germany or to Europe. Right? So here you can keep track of it. It's really interesting. Or another one from Costa Rica here, in frozen pineapple chunks, high cadmium, serious as well. Or in pineapple slices, in light syrup, exceeding the maximum permissible level of tin. So this can give you an idea also of what is being tested, of what are critical factors and what are things that you need to control in your own production. Okay, so for this, the Access to Market website and this RASFF website can be extremely helpful. Another site that I wanted to share with you is this one, the Eurostat. Eurostat is actually doing research on anything where you can put a number on. Okay, anything where you can put a figure on, they are researching it. For example, inflation rate in the EU, GDP growth, unemployment rate, like everything that has to do with the society and population is being analyzed. And this can be helpful for you to get a general feeling for the market, okay? Purchasing power, food inflation rate, 7.4%, for example, as you see it. Very interesting to click on that if you want to get some more information on the European Union. And this is something that very likely you can find in other markets as well. In the US, the US Statistics Bureau, I'm sure they will also publish some key indicators on their website. Then you've mentioned trade maps, Angela. I wanted to show you ITC, the International Trade Center, because they have some very nice tools. These tools, they have all been elaborated for people, for producers, especially in developing countries. Okay, when you come from a developing country, you can subscribe for free and you can use all these tools for free, which is great. And they have a great number of tools, for example, on market data, on sustainability and inclusivity, on business performance. When you click on market data, you see there is a whole lot of maps, okay? A whole lot of maps that you can use, sorry. African Trade Observatory, African Marketplace Explorer. You have a Global Trade Help Desk, an investment map. You have also, which I think is a great tool, the overall trade map. This is the global trade map that you can take a look at. We have it here. Here you can research on trade flows, okay, from Kenya to other countries. This is why you can look up competitors, for example. You can look into Europe and see where do they buy their chia seeds from, or their fertilizers, or their dried herbs, which is the biggest supplying countries, okay? Here under their tools, you also have a market price information portal. They work with a lot of products, I think 3,000 products more or less, where they will give you prices, which is pretty nice to get some price indications. Again, you need to check if your product is covered, but in general, it is a very nice service that works pretty well. Okay, so feel free to click here through these tools. They can make it much easier for you to obtain information on the markets. Under sustainability and inclusivity, they do have, for example, the sustainability map, which is a great platform for you to get familiar with standards and certifications, sustainability certifications, for example. So here you can research a little bit on that and find more information on which standard applies to my product, how is the process of certification. You can even run it, have a test run and check your conformity against that standard, your compliance. So here a lot that you can look that you can learn about sustainability. And then one thing that I would like to invite you to is also to take a look at the SME Academy. Great. When you subscribe to it, you can take courses for free, okay? Using virtual marketplaces for your e-commerce may not apply, but introduction to organic farming, whenever you think about going to organic farming, social media is what the entrepreneurship certificate program, how to export with AFCFTA. Join for free our community of African exporters and learn how to take advantage of intra-African trade. Maybe very interesting. So not only focusing on European market or on the US market, but very worldwide market. Okay, and here you can find a long list of courses. Export marketing strategy, how to set up an export marketing strategy, starting next week. So in case you're interested now, click on TradeMap. Okay, click on ITC on the SME Trade Academy, and you may register for this course happening online. Do you have questions to this one, to ITC or any of the previous ones? If not, I wanted to take you to the CBI, which likely you have also heard from Tove on Monday. CBI, a program from the Dutch Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Center for the Promotion of Imports from Developing Countries. So pretty much what IPD is in Germany, the Import Promotion Desk, is CBI in the Netherlands. And they have a wonderful website with a lot of market information. So if I click on market information, I can scroll down and I will find the sectors they cover, the value chains they cover. Starting with coffee, you have grains and pulses, natural ingredients for cosmetics, and so on and so on. I'm sure you can find yourself when you're a producer, right? Either working with processed fruits and vegetables or spices and herbs, as I've heard. There's also fresh fruits and vegetables, even fish and seafood, cocoa, and also working on some services like tourism or IT outsourcing. But let us click, for example, on processed fruits and vegetables. Exporting processed fruits and vegetables and edible nuts to Europe. We will find some good information here. Okay, Muguru, you're interested in the ITC training. You're interested in receiving the link. You will get the link to the ITC site in the presentation. So we make sure that you receive the presentation and all these sources that I'm showing you online now. I have a copy in the presentation with the link. So you can just click on the link then and come to these sites that I'm showing you. Okay. Thanks for inquiring. But here you see they're actually asking some of the questions that you may have in their sector study. Which trends offer opportunities? What is the demand? What requirements should your product comply with? Now speaking about processed fruits and vegetables, right? If I click on it, Which trends offer opportunities or pose threats on the European processed fruit and vegetable market? And they have a very nice report, a very nice analysis, pretty recent, last updated in March 2023. A very nice summary answering this question, okay? It would take you 26 minutes to read, as you can see in the green box on the left. Now, looking down, contents of this page, sustainability as a trend, sustainable packaging, the importance of storytelling. So they would highlight all the trends creating opportunities or threats. Okay, so this is great for a general analysis of the European market. You can also become more concrete. Okay, so this is a sector analysis. Let's go one step back. Processed fruits and vegetables and edible nuts. When you scroll down, you might even find your product here being listed and they have an analysis on your product. Let's take dried mango. And we look into dried mango, exporting dried mango to Europe. And they have a report speaking about the market potential of just dried mango to Europe, okay? And what to do to enter the market in a second report, okay? So 2 reports for dried mango, bringing it into Europe. And this is very interesting to read it. When we look at the market potential, we will start off with product description, but also what makes Europe an interesting market, which countries offer the best opportunities, and which trends offer opportunities. So when you're looking for opportunities, this is a very nice database, right, with analysis that have been done for this sector. Now, how does it work in CBI? They are scanning those sources that I have introduced to you up till now. So all these governmental sources, they are looking into the statistics as well. But then they're doing part of your job, which is speaking to buyers, speaking to other representatives from the industry, for example, to get their feedback. Okay, so here is also first-hand feedback involved from the markets that they would introduce here. And they would look into the different markets. Which European countries offer the most opportunities for dried mangoes? We have a general overview. We see, for example, that Germany is importing a lot, okay, as you can see in the figure. So they would speak a bit about the German market and then also give you some company names or some distributors, some retailers that you could look into. Okay, here in this section, as you see in the lower part of the screen now, you see some private labels, okay? But you see some brands, some independent brands that could be interested buyers for your products. So very a complete approach to a certain market. They take you by the hand and introduce you to the market. Isn't it interesting? I think it's a great site. And the same you can do also on the IPD program, the Import Promotion Desk. So valuable information that you can tap on the European market, for example, by just clicking on your value chain. Let's go to spices and herbs in this case. And here we work together with the CBI. That's why some of the reports are linked to CBI. Cinnamon in Europe, for example, cardamom in Europe, but then medicinal and aromatic plants, requirements for spices and herbs in Europe. But here you see a bit what they cover, okay? Legislative requirements, other requirements, trade developments, market trends. All this also in a short report form. 16 pages, should be quick to read it. Okay. So these were some of the sites that I wanted to show you, linked a bit to governments. Okay, and as I've mentioned before, all these ones, you will also find them in my presentation with a link with some additional information on it, okay, so that you can work on them. Here is ITC with all the tools that we've been speaking about. If you click on it, it will take you to the link, also to the Trade Academy. So there you can register and register for courses, right? You will receive this after today's session. Here is CBI. Here is IPD. And there is some more sources to it. Okay. There is also business associations that you can look into for getting information. For example, the European Association of Fruit and Vegetable Processors profile. Here's also the link, so you can access it. Another interesting association for you. Sorry, they do have news and publications as well, huh? So some updates from the markets. Another interesting association could be the European Federation of Trade in Dried Fruits and Edible Nuts, as well as processed fruits and vegetables. So they also have some information on the market, right? Or some research centers even, where you can find out more about the markets, scientific papers. But not only Europe-based institutions can be interesting. Here's an example from Ghana Export Promotion Authority, who did a research on the yums in the United States. So they analyzed the US market and published a one-pager on their website. So also look around. There may be interesting news, interesting reports from other sources. Other useful sources may relate to trends, to online market reports, some of them free, some of them are paid. Okay. There is trade initiatives, for example, for sustainability, or also a cargo handbook that can help you to assess a bit how to properly handle your dried fruits when sending them along. All in all, a big package of online sources. Any questions? No? Then let's have a break before we go to the next episode, okay? Let's have a break until 20 past, if you're fine with this, and then we take another 40 minutes to speak about, well, sources we can use to find buyers, but then also about documentation. By the end of today's session, I will give you the assignment then as well. Okay, so let's take a break until 20 past 5, and then we take it to the very last steps of today's session. Thank you very much for now, and see you in a couple of minutes. Okay, everybody, here we are back again. Are you with me? Can everybody hear me well?
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
Yes, tall.
Very
Yes,
good.
very sorry.
Great. Happy to have you here. So let's go for the last sprint on today's session. So we've been speaking a lot about online sources for doing some research. I had a little question to you that I wanted to take up with you. Where do you find potential customers? Is there any online sources that you can use as well? Or how do you make it to find customers? Because this is also part of a research, right? You want to find customers in a certain market. Where can you find them? Guru, you told us that you go to those field days for visiting or for finding customers to get in touch with them. Now I want to show you some online sources that you can use as well. Okay. So basically, you can use those activities. You can go to trade fairs, you can go to field days, you can do study tours, but there's also some very nice sources online that you can use, right? Here are some examples for the European Union. For example, Profel, the European Association of Fruit and Vegetable Processors that I have mentioned before. They do not only offer publications on their website, but they also show who their members are. Okay, so when you click on membership and you click on their members, you can browse the member companies that they have. Okay, and the member institutions that they have. So breaking it down on country level then. For this, business associations can be very great. Another association that can be interesting for you, dried fruits, edible nuts, it is the Warenverein Hamburg, so the Association of Traders in Hamburg, which was established in 1900, working with a lot of products, but you find a lot of societies or companies that are not only based in Hamburg, but that are associated to this business association. And they also have a directory of companies that you can click. So when you're looking for companies, potential customers, that is why you can find directories to use it. Okay. There's associations for everything. So also for co-packing. Let's assume you're packing in bulk and you want somebody who is packing in tiny packages for retail in a certain market. Here you can find some members associates in the European Co-packers Association, for example. So business associations are great for finding people, but then also some wholesale markets can give you some directories. For example, Rungis, which is the biggest wholesale market in Europe. You find importers and traders not only for fresh fruits and vegetables, but also for processed fruits, okay? Also for cheese and seafood. But here they have their own directory also, where you can browse per product. There's online marketplaces. Here is one online marketplace for organic products, and it's covering really everything from animal food over cosmetic products, commodities, food and beverages. A lot of buyers registered. Okay, and you can register there or just use it as a directory to find some. Also, the CBI website has some recommendations on finding buyers. As I've mentioned in the reports, they sometimes indicate also potential buyers or potential brands to contact. And then, of course, LinkedIn. You spoke about Facebook, which is great to identify potential buyers. LinkedIn is another great social media website for you to find potential buyers. You can browse by companies and see which persons are related to a certain company. Okay. And a lot of people are using LinkedIn. So here, be where your target group is, find them where they are. LinkedIn is a network really for professionals to connect. So it's worth browsing there a bit. Then, of course, there's the trade fairs that are essential for meeting people. And even after COVID, trade fairs continue to be the occasion to get in touch with potential business partners. People love to have the eye-to-eye contact, to have this personal contact, to meet new partners, and to set up business. So here's some trade fairs. With the green square, you see trade fairs in the fresh business in Europe, with Fruit Logistica in February, Mac Fruit in May, Fruit Attraction in October. Then there's trade fairs on the natural ingredients, which is more likely to be interesting for you. One trade fair only for organic, which is the BioFac, linked together with Viva Nes, a trade fair for organic and natural cosmetics. We have Alimentaria in April in Barcelona. We have the PLMA trade fair, which is extremely interesting. It's from the Private Label Manufacturing Association who launched it. Basically, what it is white label. So everybody who is producing in packaging and can sell with white label or with labels of other brands with private label, it's good to be there. So large supermarket chains may be interested in meeting you there. Then, of course, there is Anuga Trade Fair or Cial Trade Fair in October. Biggest trade fairs in food and beverages. This year we had Anuga, so next year we will have Cial, and then in 2025 it's Anuga again. And happening just right now is the Food Ingredients Europe for natural ingredients, really for ingredients in food. So here's some trade fairs where you can find buyers. If you cannot go there, you can just use their website. Okay, Anuga, for example, Exhibitors 2023. Click on it and you get the list of exhibitors that you can browse by country, by product, and then find out who could be a good match for you. Okay. With this said, let's close the topic of online sources and let us speak about analyzing findings. Now by using these online sources or other sources, you have made a lot of discoveries, okay? You have collected a lot of data. Now the question is what to do with it. Important is that you will be able to take concrete decisions on it, okay? Analyze the findings with your business in mind. So look for opportunities and outline them clearly. What are challenges that are raised by the target markets? Okay, come to practical and concrete conclusions. So how to master challenges, for example, and be able also to give directions to your colleagues or to your CEO whenever you have feedback from the market. Pass on that information to whomever it may concern, okay? So that everybody has a clear guidance and a clear idea of what to do and what to avoid. What can be very useful for you once you obtain the information from the market is to really consider or look into your marketing and identify, okay, in this context, in this market, where are my strengths? Where are my weaknesses? Okay, where are my opportunities and my threats? This is what a SWOT analysis does to understand, which will help you to understand your position and your potential, okay? Based on this, then you can draw practical conclusions and define coping strategies. So coping strategies, how to lever your strength, for example, or coping strategy, how to tackle your weaknesses to become strength and an opportunity as well, or how to best benefit from opportunities. We will speak about it more in the next session, next Tuesday. Okay, but this is how you can digest the information that you collect and turn it into something practical, into something useful. Food for thought, German retailers require social certification for all imported fresh fruits and vegetables. Those ones who are working with fresh, I asked it yesterday, is this a challenge for you or are you in a good position to respond to that? We could also say that the European market is more and more concerned with sustainability. So you have to have a response on sustainability to some extent. Is that a challenge? Is that an opportunity to you? Are you strong when it comes to performing on sustainability? So just an open question, some food for thought. right? But then the question is, what do you do with this finding? Okay, do you have questions on analyzing findings? If not, I would like you to join me on the last topic before we go to the homework assignment, which will be documentation of findings and contexts. Okay, so all these conclusions that you draw, you need to document that somehow, or the information that you obtain. It's good to document it somehow. First of all, to keep track of it, but then also if you want to share it with colleagues. How do you usually document your findings? Please tell me in the chat or speak out. James, is that something that you keep in your brain, or is it something that you write down into reports, for example? And in the meantime, I may ask Jane's question. Sometimes the research does not show impact, such as inflation. Okay, can you specify on that? You mean that the inflation does not have a direct impact on your business?
No, what I mean is that some of the research that you get or we get, may indicate, like great performances of product or of sector, and great trends over time, over a period of time. For example, they may show very good compounded annual growth rate and things like that. But you may find, for example, right now we're in the middle of very strong inflationary effects in globally, if I could say that. We are locally in Kenya and where we are exporting to. So you find that demand has fallen in many of these commodity sectors, but it's not indicating in the research findings. How do you deal with that?
That's right. That's right. That's a good point. Sometimes it's not indicating in the research findings because it's just a bit outdated, huh? What we've explained before. So they had their moment to collect the data, and maybe that has been before inflation. So when inflation was hitting, their data has been collected already and the research has been published already, for example, and they do not focus on inflation. So this would be a moment where you would have to verify the research that you have, the piece of research that you have. So the report that you have, maybe from 2021 or so, to see if it's still accurate today. So look out if you find newer reports, newer research. And then always the best that you can do is to speak to people, to speak to representatives, to researchers, to experts, but also to representatives from the value chain to get their feedback, their current feeling. Okay, there is other sources, for example, newsletters, that could give you more up-to-date information on it, right? But then it would be the question of really verifying, okay, is that still accurate or does it need to be updated? And then having the contact with people you can speak to, with industry representatives, for example, is the best that you can do. You see, okay, there is inflation. Now it's a new topic that you need to research. What is the impact on inflation right now, right? Does it still continue as it was before, or to which extent is industry being impacted? We had this situation, for example, with COVID. When COVID hit in, we had a lot of very nice research, but the moment COVID set in and everything came to a halt, it was no longer valid. But there was no research at that point, right? In February, March, in the very beginning of COVID, we had no research on it. Everybody was doing research, but there were no results. So the best thing we could do was speaking to people and see how it really affects them right now. That is where you get the most updated information. And then, of course, through everything that is a bit more, let's say, agile than scientific research, So newsletters or whatever, something that can give you really up-to-date information can help you.
Okay.
Thanks
you.
for your question. Susan, you left the comment, objectives set out, key points during the research, including any outlay. This is how you document research findings. So you transform them into objectives, for example. Am I right? Please feel free to answer in the chat or to unmute your microphone. But then these objectives, I'm sure they will come into a paper, into a strategy paper. So some of your research findings may be translated into concrete steps and action points that you identify or objectives, and then figure in your strategic paper or your plans, right? So plans, reports, that is what you can use. What we do a lot in our program is, for example, whenever we go to a certain trade fair, or whenever we go to an event, a B2B event, for example, we go to a trade fair. Of course, our focus will be on networking with companies, but also market research is very important in that context. So in our report, we do not only document the meetings that we had, we do not only monitor the meetings that we had, we also have a section where we include observations on the markets, trends, etc., that we have observed during the trade fair. And by this, we use a tool that we use for other purposes as well, but also use it for documenting market findings. Okay. We do this based on a very simple tool that I want to recommend to all of you who are in touch with other people who are going to events, is a standardized contact sheet. A contact sheet that will help you to, first of all, document contacts, to document any leads that you made, okay? But then also to include some information, some market intelligence that you could obtain here, okay? All relevant details. This will be very helpful for you to follow up with it, for you to decide what to do with it, okay? And we'll give you the opportunity to collect data and share it also with others. So contact details, content of the meeting, indications for next steps, and important also classification, prioritization of the lead so that you can structure it a little bit in the end. And you can filter by companies and leads that are interesting or working on a certain product, okay? All this, we included in reports, but we also translated to our contact management system. As a company, you should have also a contact management system where you can include the leads, but then also some information on the markets. In a contact management system, it's very much connected to companies and to buyers. A contact management system helps you to collect and structure data on buyers and partners, but then also on suppliers, service providers, and experts. Okay, we may also call it a contact relation management system, CRM. I'm sure you've heard of it. What you can do with a CRM, or what you should be able to do, is to store contact details and general info on companies, to classify the companies so that you may filter and sort them, okay? That you may, for example, look into potential buyers from Europe and separate them from potential buyers from the US. A contact history and a follow-up, for example, is another big feature that would help you, okay? It is important to keep track of things. It doesn't really matter which tool you use. It's more a matter of having a process and a mentality, a mindset for collecting and managing knowledge and the activities or acquisition of companies. Sorry. So here, a CRM system can be extremely useful. Help you to select target markets and customers, monitor your networking activities, the marketing of your services, the management of your full process, right? From suppliers to buyers, as you can have them all in there and you can store information. Managing knowledge and closing information gaps with your team as well. Okay, this will make you more professional and more efficient also in the eyes of the buyers. It can be very simple. Okay, it can be something like an Excel sheet. For example, you go to an event and you list all the people that you've met in an Excel sheet with some crucial information, contact details, for example, a rating that you would give to them, very interesting, not so interesting, from this sector or that sector. You can take down some notes on the content, what you have discussed, and what to do with them. As simple as that, you can have a CRM system. Okay, this will help you to keep track of everything. Because especially when you enter new markets, all of a sudden you will have a lot of companies on your list, okay? A lot of companies to speak to. Here's an example of a more advanced system. That is something that we are using in IPD. It's based on Microsoft 365. Okay, it's tailor-made a bit to the IPD needs. So IPD and SEQA, they have defined which categories they need to have in there. But here, basically, we can have a profile for a company. It says now import a not specified dummy company. We do have, I think, 13,000 companies in there, or 13,000 contacts in there, all over Europe, but then also exporters that we work with. So we do have company contacts and we do have people contacts. So everybody working in a certain company will be registered here on the contacts on the right side of the screen. Okay, we do have the classification according to our needs. We take a note on products that are interesting, on countries that are interesting. And very, very important for us, for our work, is the timeline. As you can see at the bottom on the center, it says in very tiny, it says timeline. Sorry. And this timeline is something that we're feeding regularly. Okay, so whenever we're in touch with someone, whenever we obtain new information from a contact, we write the post here. So we can write down, okay, current situation in this market is rather bad due to inflation, as stated in the meeting on November 25th, for example. Well, we can also take a note and say, hey, he's interested now in this product, or he would like to order this volume. So for our work, it is extremely helpful to have this feedback. Okay, so with this timeline, we can keep track and we can store market information also in posts. The big advantage is we have the documentation of it, plus everybody has access to it. With everybody, I mean everybody from the team. Okay, so when I speak to someone obtaining information, I put it in this CRM system, and my colleague who might speak to them in 2 weeks or 3 weeks has all this information available. Key to success here of this system and of any CRM system is that you keep it updated. Okay, so that's what I mean also when I say it doesn't matter what the tool is. Important is that you have the process. Important is that with market research in general, when it comes to documentation, that you have it as a regular process. Okay, whenever you obtain new information, You document it somehow that it doesn't get lost. This can be in a very simple way, okay? We do it by leaving a note here in the CRM system. You can do it in an Excel sheet or in a report or whatever, okay? Maybe you want to have monthly reports in your company or something like that. Doesn't need to be much, just whenever you have something. Here is another simple example of a CRM system, which I've taken from Google Sheet. You find the link on this site as well, on this slide. It's for free, a free spreadsheet from Google that you can use, and you can customize it to your needs as well. Okay, so you can just type in company names, the contacts, emails, etc., and then you can work your way through it. I will show it in Excel here. So you can make a new entry, for example, on the ABC company, which is the first one. Okay, you have ABC company John Doe. When you find a new contact, Peter, for example, Peter is telling us interested in herbs from Kenya. We have a new entry on the ABC company. And now you remember, hey, ABC company, that was something interesting. Let's imagine you continue this list, okay, and you have thousands of entries. You can sort them by this list, okay? You can simply sort by ABC company and you will find the contacts. And you will find the information, for example, that Jane Doe is replacing, that Jimbo, here, let me amplify that Jimbo is replacing Jane Doe, and that Peter is interested in herbs. This is a very simple way to have a CRM system, to work with a CRM system, okay? Just with a simple Excel sheet, right? So you have the link in the presentation. You can take a look at it and make yourself familiar with it. I think it helps a lot to document your findings. This said, we come to the very, very last point of today. Unless you have a question on documentation and CRM. Is there any question? Any hands in the air? Not yet. Okay. Then let us come to the assignment. For next week, we will have the session on 5th. Okay, 5th in the afternoon, same time as today. I want to start off with you with some sector insights. Okay, so homework assignment for next week is to do a first research on your product and target market. You will receive a template, okay, that you will fill out. Or you can use the setup that your organization uses to do some research. But I want you to do a little first research and do a little bit of the steps that we've done today together. So collecting some questions that you want to find answers to. Write down some questions. And then you may just browse these sources that I've shared with you or other sources that come to your mind to see if you can obtain some first information, okay, some first findings. On this template, there is a column also that you can use to compile first findings, okay? Please don't feel overwhelmed. I don't want you to do a complete research. I don't want you to invest all the 4 days that we have until the next meeting, more or less. Okay, I just want you to start brainstorming on potential questions that are interesting and looking into some of the resources that we've been discussing to see if you can obtain any first information. Right? Deadline for you, if you want to have a deadline, would be Monday, 4th, end of the day, because in the next session on the 5th, we will join forces and start with sharing and discussing your first findings. Okay? Do you have questions to this? to this assignment? No. Okay, you will receive it together with this presentation. And in this presentation, you will find all the links of the sources, of the online sources that I've introduced today. Okay. And the next session, sorry, I still need to correct it. It will start at 2 p.m. Okay. 2 p.m. will be the session. This one is the first one for fresh fruits and vegetables from 9:30 to 1 p.m. For natural ingredients, we will have the session from 2 p.m. until 6 p.m. So you can use either the product that you work on. Okay, if you work on herbs, for example, then work on herbs. If not, if you don't work on a particular product, then you can just choose a product, okay? Any product that you think is interesting, any product that you are sort of familiar with. When you work, for example, in consulting, when you work in totally different sectors in logistics, for example, then maybe take a product or a value chain that you are very familiar with, or where you have a lot of clients, right? So then you can do a first research on the product. Okay, and then by next week we can discuss our findings. We can share our findings. As you see here in the agenda, we want to capitalize a bit on that. We want to have first a sector briefing, so review any findings that you have from this assignment. Okay, discuss what you figured out, what you found out. And then in a sector briefing, I will introduce to some general trends and requirements in the EU market, focusing on that. And with this information that you have collected, information that I have prepared, we then have a solid ground that we can work on, okay? And then conclude, what do we do with this information? How can we use this for our marketing, for example? So this will be it for the next week. You will receive this template. Everything will be sent by email to you. I think you registered with your email when you joined this call, when you joined this session. So I think, ASNED, GIZ, we should have the emails of everybody, right? I think ASNED has all your emails and then can send it out to you.
Yes, I want to confirm that we have the emails
yeah,
of the participants.
Very good. Thank you very much. So that's basically it. That's basically it for now. If you feel free, if you're still joining us on Menti, then feel free to take it to the last page and leave us a comment. What was your takeaway? But you are also free to give me a little feedback on the microphone or just write in the chat. What has been useful for you, what has been a good takeaway for you, what you've learned, or any other comment is more than welcome. Other than that, if there's no question right now, I say thank you very much for today. It's been a long and intense day. It's been very interesting with you, very inspiring to hear how you work, what you do. I thank you very much for the day.
Thank you. Let me take the opportunity also to really thank on behalf of ASNET and GIZ, all the participants in the workshop. We are thankful that you could be able to take your time and go through the almost 4 hours training. I know it is trainers, but because of time constraints, we have to go through this. So I wanted to announce to the participants that our training continues tomorrow. So we are meeting again tomorrow, and I believe you already have the invitation. So let's meet tomorrow in the afternoon, starting from 2 p.m. for a continuation. Thank you, and I wish you a great evening.
Thank you very much.
And our facilitator, thank you so much for the good job. Thanks a lot.
It's been a very great pleasure. So I wish good rest to everybody. And then enjoy tomorrow's session with Tove.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ferry. Thank you, Agatha, for arranging this. It's quite educating and enlightening, also encouraging. Sometimes we think there's no market, but I think we've gotten to see that there are. So it's work on us to find them.
Absolutely. So that is a good learning. Thanks for this feedback. Bye-bye then, everybody. Have a good evening.
Bye.
Bye.
Nice
Have a good
evening.
evening.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye, Mr. Bunke.
Goodbye, Mr. Munguru. Thank you very much for your valuable contributions today. Been a pleasure. Thank you,
Thank
Agatha,
you.
as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Barnabas. A question to Asnet. Will you download the chat? Can you do that? I can do that here. Very well, thank you. Been a pleasure. Bye-bye, everybody.